I'm worried that we're muted.
Oh, I was muted. Okay, I'm fixed.
Yeah,
I
okay.
was muted. Okay.
I was waiting in silence. I was like, look, you start. I'm ready to go whenever you intro. Nothing.
Yeah, no, I was talking, and I was having a problem. Hi guys, welcome to RavenHS Pokemon Pocket Weekly Top 32. Where I, for some reason, put Furs on. I'm gonna put it back down. We are gonna have our first ever co-cast this week. RavenHS or RavenCast, depending which social you know him from. Raven, would you like to introduce a little bit?
Sure, yeah. I'm Raven. I've casted Hearthstone mainly for the past 10 years and still do for Blizzard. But as some of you may have noticed, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Pocket since it came out. And yeah, very happy and excited to be here on the Pokemon Pocket tournament.
Thank you. We're happy to have you here. Are you excited for any of the different decks today? Have you looked over the top 32?
Yeah, for sure. I think overall, just at least in terms of the tournament, I think the highlight for me is yes, of course, there's Mewtwo, there's Pikachu, there's Charizard, but there is still a variety of players, a large amount of players, submitting different lists and something with things we don't really see that often, or just their favorite decks or favorite Pokemon, and I think that's really cool for the game that right before we, apparently, let's say, get in this mini set soon, then that people are still sort of enjoying competitive play with decks they like or trying to like counter the meta. It's not just, oh, these are the 2 decks or 3 decks you play. There's still more than enough people just trying something else. And sometimes they're making it work, especially as you mentioned before we went live. The Wigglytuff Arbok is something I'm definitely a fan of.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to switch over to that the standings that we have here so you guys can see it a bit. That Wigglytuff Arbok I think is going to be so interesting to watch. We even saw like a Wigglytuff Jolteon for a little bit that I thought was super interesting. And I'm really excited to see how more people decks. We just saw Zard Arcanine win last week. And Articuno made it to top 4. So things are still definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Although, as people may discover quickly, if people don't necessarily watch my stream, not the biggest Articuno EX fan in the world, so we'll see how it goes. I'll try and be as balanced as possible. But yeah, a lot of Pika. And one thing that's really interested me over the past few weeks, especially, is the Pika lists keep changing, right? 1 minute, Raichu way to build. Then no, it's Zeb Striker in this. Then no, it's 1 Zapdos or 2 Zapdos. It's Electrode now. It's this now. And I think it's really interesting. I feel like there's no Pika EX list full stop, right? There's no 20 cards that are really confirmed. We're consistently seeing a variation, and a variation of those do well in each tournament. It's not like only the Raichu's won, only the Zeb Strikers won, or anything like that. Even in this top cut, we're seeing a good mix of Pika decks.
Yeah, last week it was even Pikachu Raichu that was the best, and now as you can see, Rika is dominating.
Mm-hmm.
We do still have a number of Raichu, but I definitely agree. In looking at these lists, they're changing up every single week and work out. So cool to see, honestly. Even I kind of feel that way with the Mewtwo as well. Still haven't decided on what type of tank is best for that starting set. I think this one up here in second place is running G and the baby Mewtwo, but sometimes we only see the baby Mewtwo. What do you think about the Mewtwo?
I definitely am not someone who plays a lot of Pika or Mewtwo, generally speaking, but I play against it a lot, as I'm sure everyone who's here does. And I've actually found that the Jinx list, with the 1 Jinx and 1 normal Mewtwo or baby Mewtwo, it feels sometimes a lot of the time the toughest to play against, because sometimes that Jinx is a pain. Like, it might just hit certain Pokemon that do want a lot of energy. It's a good sort of foil for those certain decks that run stuff, especially because I like to run stuff like Blastoise EX, Golem, things that do hold a lot of energy, for example, on any water decks, I guess. But also it's an interesting way to add a little bit of extra stall without having to potentially give up a Ralts or Gardevoir line, because a lot of the time, if it's 1 Mewtwo, baby Mewtwo, like if that goes down, you can buy even more time to obviously put out another non-EX Pokemon, but a lot of the time that's Gardevoir, right? Or, Routes Krill or whatever. And that's still taking something away from you because if that gets knocked out, you're then just a Gardevoir down. Whereas the Jinx can still, be a bit of a speed bump whilst you get Mewtwo ready or get your Gardevoir lines ready on the back line. So yeah, I actually quite like the one Jinx in there and the one sort of baby Mewtwo because I think it creates enough awkward situations, whether you've got the health for the tanking, or sometimes Jinx can actually just run away with a game, or at least get a knockout that you wouldn't normally easily be able to do. So yeah, I'm actually a big fan of the Jinx. Well, I hate playing against the Jinx, which is a compliment to the deck, obviously.
Yeah, no, Jinx, it hurts, especially with only needing 2 energies. If you do end up setting up that Gardevoir, Jinx can come out of nowhere and just
Mhm.
start putting out too much pressure. Real quick, I'm just making sure we have everything in line to start top 32 here. Are there any other decks that you're excited to look out for today?
Yes, there are a couple of these Charizard Arcanine lists, and a bit of it. It's sort of what I was saying a bit earlier. The continued evolution of decks has been really surprising to me in these tournaments. Charizard Arcanine being one of them. I tried a list similar to these when I think was it a couple of weeks ago, like the first sort of one won the tournament or whatever it did. I can't remember now. And I couldn't really get it to work. It felt like either the Arcanine sat doing nothing, or a bit awkward, or maybe I was drawing Growlithe, as a starter too often. It just didn't feel smooth to me. So I'm excited to see if players who are better than me, very likely, get the work done. Because obviously we're looking at some of these Charizard Arcanine lists, 8-0 here, 8-1. Really putting out good results. And I just want to watch it be piloted by people who know the deck a lot better than I do, because there's clearly something I'm missing because people keep bringing it and people keep doing well with it. So it's clearly got something. It's just something that I cannot see.
Yeah, Arcanine seems crazy. I honestly love these different Charizard decks. I loved watching the masterclass last week for Charizard Arcanine. And it felt like for a single week we ended up not seeing Pikachu. And a lot of those
Right.
water decks appear for a little bit there. We are going to be starting top 32 now, so the pairings are officially out. If you are a player, you can go on and get started with that. I am just dropping the announcement in the Discord now. Second. We'll hopefully see a lot of these players start coming in here, joining the Discord, and we can find a fun match. Do you have any games that you're hoping to see as you glance over at the pair? We can bring it up as well.
Yes. Give me 1 second now that I can actually have them open. There we go. Um,
If you go through,
honest.
oh sorry,
Oh, go on.
okay,
No, no, you tell me.
if you go through standings and play to win, you can the bracket with the different matchups actually. Like,
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Okay. I see. I see. Yeah. That's what I was missing. I was like, I've got the names. I have no clue what decks these names are playing. Um, Yeah, I mean, for sure, I want to see Arbok Wiggly, right? I think most people would want to see that. It's cool.
Mhm.
I love Arbok. I absolutely love, the Pokemon in the game right now. I think it's so cool and so unique, and also Chomp's Mewtwo's, which is nice. But also, I think matchups like this Starmie, the Zephyr Pro against Calvasus, sorry, like Starmie Articuno again. I'm not a huge fan of
Mhm.
Articuno EX, but I do love Starmie EX, so I'm split down the middle. So I'm interested to see if Starmie can make a run because I do think it's got the potential, but you've just got to get like consistently keep getting those quick openings, right? I think to really cash in on Starmie's value here.
Starmie to me is absolutely insane with a zero retreat cost, like zero retreat
Hmm.
cost. Just seems. I mean, it seems out of this world when it seems like that resource of energy is just so strong in Pokemon Pocket. I mean, water does have the plus side of having, but it's not reliable, and I feel like Starmie
Right.
almost survives without Misty the way that Articuno can't or doesn't.
It's one of the reasons why Articuno EX really does feel like the Pokemon that suffers the most if you miss Misty, right? Like
Hmm.
other Pokemon, like if you're playing Blastoise EX, you've built the deck to have the time to build up a Blastoise. And honestly, you can do stuff from 3 energy on Blastoise, which is fine. And you've built the deck around that. Whereas if you're playing Articuno EX, you often want to start quickly with Articuno and get that energy on quick. So if that fails, you're in trouble. But you're completely right. When the likes of Starmie EX, Blastoise, all of these Pokemon, even though they do require more than 1 energy, can get a lot of work done completely without Misty. I ended up building a Weezing, Bruxish, Greninja deck, and it felt really good. And only after a few games, I realized I hadn't even put Misty in it because it didn't really need it. You had space for other things. So I think there may be a future where we don't put Misty in water decks. Whether that's going to come soon or not, who knows? But yeah, I definitely would like to see people experiment more with Starmie EX with other things that aren't Articuno EX.
That could be great to see. It does look like the Starmie EX matchup is in the Discord if you want to hop over to
Oh,
that. It's channel 14, and we
oh,
can get up that game. Watch. 1 second, guys, as we get that set up here.
I was gonna say, good not to show it now as they're putting in the
Yeah.
code to join the private game. Maybe not the best.
We'll hide their password for a second here while we get
Yep.
everything set up. But I'm really excited to watch this. I do think Starmie has a little bit of an advantage here, especially with that water typing. But I think Starmie starts up so fast that that Charizard doesn't get the time that it would like to.
Right, right. Yeah, I think goal number one, whenever you see a Charizard on the other side of the board, goal number one, you need to run over Moltres, right? You need that Pokemon to go down fast. The faster it goes down, the better. Sometimes it's never fast enough because obviously, if they end up doing the dance and getting 3 energy on a Charmander on the back, things can start to scale a
Hmm.
little bit too fast. But yeah, against Moltres or Charizard, whatever, you really want Starmie up front center straight away and start hitting for 90. Two-shot the Moltres because again, you can't really heal out of the two-shot Starmie range, and then hope that's enough to then deal with the Charmeleon and hope they're a little bit slower on the Charizard because that's what can get really tricky. I mean, you will know this. Obviously, you play a lot more Charizard than I do, but if you just get 1 or 2 good turns of Moltres and you can get to that Charizard, you feel unstoppable, right? Surely, because there's just not that many things that actually prove a problem.
Yeah, once you have, I mean, even once you're at a 3, you can one shot anything as soon as you get that fourth energy on it.
Right.
It's kind of insane just how much damage some of the,
Mm.
just how much damage Charizard does. There's not a single Pokemon that can actually uh, the survive his hit.
Yeah, I think that's something I've noticed people getting better with as well. Because when I've been facing Charizards more recently, and I say recently, the past week, 2 weeks or so, they're getting much better at being okay at not saying I'll only play this Charizard when I have like 100 energy on it, so I can spam this attack. Like they're like, okay, if I use this 200 to knock out, say, an EX. I'm okay being on, say, 2 energy, so you can go to 3 next turn to slash, and then build up the turn after, or Sabrina to buy some time. And I feel like players have really gotten better overall at being a little bit more adventurous. 'Cause it's not like Charizard has like 50 health or anything, right? He's a pretty tanky boy. So it's like he can go out there, knock something out on his first attack, and then take a hit before he's in even any real trouble against most decks, obviously. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if that's going to be the case. But of course, when you have this Arcanine in the mix as well, the flexibility you gain in that deck is huge because one of the drawbacks of standard Moltres Charizard is, well, guess what your game plan is? It's play Moltres, play Charmander, and go, right? Like that's the game plan. Whereas Arcanine, of course, gives you an alternate route and a little bit more flex that's normally available.
Yeah, no, I think Arcanine's also super nice in the fact that because he doesn't have to discard energy, you could be
Right.
powering up that Charizard on the bench or whoever you need the next attacker to be. He's one of the few fire Pokemon that doesn't discard energy, actually, if I'm correct.
He just discards his health. That's it.
True. True.
Yeah.
The
But
ties
it's
that come
fine.
out of Arcanine are insane.
Oh yeah. I think that's something as well that I found really funny to watch is I think now that the game's been out a while, we've had time to sort of test out all the cards. People seem to accept a lot more things like discarding energy is okay. Taking self damage is okay. I had to convert so many people to pass their thought of oh, you can't. Golem's rubbish because it deals 50 damage to itself. It's like, well, if it's knocked out a Mewtwo EX and has 110 health left, that 50 damage doesn't matter as much. So it's definitely been cool seeing people sort of get over these humps of like, oh, it deals damage to itself. It must be bad when it clearly isn't.
Yeah, they're starting to understand that sometimes you have to take a little bit of hit to be able to doing a lot of damage yourself. So we are going into that Articuno versus Charizard. We're going to be watching it from the Charizard's POV. So a pretty nice setup here. We do have Moltres in the active, but Calvasis should still be looking for one of those basic mons that he could start powering up from here.
Yeah, I just realized something I did not ask you about. Do you want to not talk about the hand because of problems?
I try to not be definitive about what's in
That's
the
fine.
hand,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, just so I know, that's all. I don't want to, obviously cause any problems. But either way, this is what I was talking about earlier. Good start. Moltres up front, Charmander on the bench, ticking boxes already.
Honestly, exactly where he wants to be. And I think Zephyro's in a pretty good position as well. I wonder if we're going to see a Misty come down here.
Yeah, I think honestly, above Misty, Starmie is the most important card that could be in their hand, right? Like being able to go like this turn to deal. Okay, the damage from Staryu not that important this turn, of course, but still having this point to go second and then start going Staryu. If Starmie comes out next turn, this is exactly what I said, where the opportunity to run over is key. However, if this Charmander can start evolving sort of on curve, then that's where things are going to be a little bit of a problem. And even now, second Moltres coming down, going to be a little bit of defense against a potential Sabrina play too.
Yeah, that seems really nice for Callis here, and he's got that Charmeleon exactly in the timing that he wants it. Obviously, as we said, he can KO those Articunos, those Starmies, but Hero Energy is going to be going to Callis' Charmeleon just yet.
Yeah, that's a little bit rough. I don't know about you, but if any of these ramp coin flip mechanics gain me like 1 energy, I'm okay. I'm like, yeah, you know what? 1 extra energy is huge. I'm fine with that. If it's more, fantastic. But now Starmie and Misty being played,
Ooh.
both players actually just have the open, right? They both have the opening they want.
Exactly
They're
what
kind of
they
sick.
want. Yeah, 0 Misty, but he doesn't need it. He's going to be able to do 100, 90 this turn.
Yeah.
Moltres is not, I keep saying allergic, but I mean super weak to the Starmie attack, but that still puts him
Yeah,
in
I'd
a
hope
two-shot
it's
range.
not allergic to water. That could cause some, I don't know, health issues.
I
assume.
feel like that is what happens, though. That is a health issue. He takes an extra 20 damage.
Well, yeah, true, actually, yeah. In this form, that is definitely a health issue. But this is what I was talking about earlier, where this is good for Starmie because there's no double potioning out of this, right? This is why
Yeah.
Starmie is strong even against the higher health Pokemon. You can't heal out of this unless, you may be Venusaur or something. But in general, this Moltres will have to go down. And because of a lack of energy ramp, there isn't an option which is often, maybe underutilized a little bit, where say they got 3 heads previously. They could have put some on the other Moltres and then used a retreat into the second Moltres to then ramp again, then retreat again, and cycle through like that. Like
3
those coin flips,
energies,
for
let's
example.
go.
Yeah. And instead we're keeping it very, very simple here, which is Charizard is coming down.
Yeah, this is a bit of an issue spot for Zephyro. I wonder if, I'm trying to think like what could happen that he's only going to attack, he's still going to attack twice. Charizard's going to have 5 energies when he does get promoted.
Right.
We are going to go in and get that. It looks like 2 points for Zephyro here. But the question is going to be how. I do guess that the star you could knock out. with a Giovanni, if there is a Giovanni in Zephyros, let me check really. Yeah, they're running 2 Giovanni. If they were able to run into that.
I think the problem here is, though, especially with the second Moltres dance actually putting in the work, right, and almost paying off the first terrible one.
Hmm.
I don't really know how you dig yourself out of this as the water player here, because even if you knock out this Moltres without Starmie, well, Starmie still doesn't one-tap Charizard, right? So it's
Yeah.
still going to be a huge problem. And I think this is the issue where even though the good opening was sort of done by both sides, the fact that Charizard was just curved into, and then the one turn it could have been spicy, they actually managed to play the second Moltres on the bench, which meant it wasn't weak to, Sabrina in the Charmeleon and,
Yeah.
and knock that out. Because they got around that and they got past that hurdle, I actually think this is just almost, I don't like to say it, but unwinnable, because this Starmie is going to go bye-bye right now.
I wonder
And
if
because...
there's. Oh, sorry.
No, go on, go on.
I wonder if there's some world where like a Sabrina next turn on someone who's fully powered up, you could see a knockout in the Growlithe. If we don't have any X speeds, that Moltres might get captured. But it does look like we're gonna go on and have a concede.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be game 1
Yeah.
for Calvisis.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable, because, like I said, I think that the problem is with the Moltres is, if Sabrina comes down, they would put the Moltres in, of course. They put that in, and of course the next speed would then dig them out of it again. But Moltres still tanks a whole hit from
Yeah.
anything, right? And that's the issue. And I think that's like the backbone of the meta right now. Are these bloody birds, aren't they? The legendary birds of, like, Moltres being kind of awkward to deal with, Zapdos kind of being awkward to deal with, and being really good tanks. And so even if that was the case, I think there could have still been enough time to put the energy on the Moltres, manually retreat, and then bring in the Charizard again. So yeah, that was just a tough one, and I think this is what Zephyr's looking for, right? Because even a Staryu is going to get work done against a Charmander in the active spot. This is what you want to see.
This is a bit of a problem here. I mean, we are starting with a Charmander. I wonder if we're able to find a Moltres. See if we're going second on Calvis' side here. But he's going to need an X speed if he wants any of going on and getting ready as well.
Yeah, this is pretty scary, but I suppose this is potentially another upside of that Arcanine list, right? Is that if you do lose a Charmander, as long as there's something else on the bench, of course, if you do lose a Charmander, it's not like, oh, well, if I don't draw one Charmander, it's over now, because Moltres probably doesn't win on its own. There is that backup with the Arcanine, but there's maybe the Pokeball coming down now. Yeah, gonna get that second Charmander, so that's something.
It's something, but it's not going to survive very long if they're not able to evolve.
And that's always so painful, where you put the energy on the benched one, but you just think, well, if they're Sabrina,
Yeah, it's
done
done.
nothing, right? But it's still the right decision, but you still sit there and think, I've done this to myself, where I'm like, do I put it on the active one to play around Sabrina? And you're like, why? It's like, it makes no sense to do that. But that's the kind of sort of holes you find yourself in when you're trying to work out Sabrina. But Starmie coming out again on curve.
Absolutely crazy.
Starmie loves it.
Yeah, no, Zephyr Starmie is loving this game, it appears. Question will be if we have a Misty that could power it up in time, potentially, to be able to knock out either of these Charmanders. Charmander to me is a little bit...
that would be huge.
That'd be crazy, but I feel like Charmander's one of those weird ones where, like, you don't even want to attack them. He's got...
Right.
He, like, discards his own energy. It's an awkward Pokemon to play, but we do have Charmeleon now on Calvis' side. But we're going to have to manually power up this entire Pokemon. Feels awkward in this deck.
Yeah, this is obviously not what the Charizard player wants here. The Starmie is going to... Well, I would actually... Sabrina here would be huge, right? Sabrina in the Charmeleon, delete 2 energy, because that is something that, that, again, players when they start this game may not have a full grasp of, is deleting energy, even if that energy's done nothing yet, deleting it from your opponent is huge because you just turns ahead at that point. However, I'm guessing there wasn't a Sabrina in the hand because Sabrina would have been an almost game-winning play at that point. So we are going to see the Charmeleon hit the active spot with that 2 energy. It is going to evolve into Charizard EX and have the ability for a slash.
Wonder if we're gonna see retreat here, but he's gonna need X speeds, or he's going to have to discard all this energy already set on his Charizard. Looks like
Yeah, I think
slash.
this is an all-in scenario here. Slash for the fun of it, and then take the hit from Starmie, and then you have to just blast the Starmie and hope they don't have some. Hope they don't have Misty to catch up. It's very tricky.
It does look like, just going over the list real quick, there is not a Sabrina in Zephyr's list, sadly, but
That would make sense.
that's really interesting to me, though, since it seems like they're prioritizing Giovanni so much, running 2 of it instead of any Sabrina. That definitely could have won them some games.
Yeah, I mean, I would have taken out the Articuno EX for Sabrina at this point, I'll be honest. But yeah, this is still looking okay. Again, the second Starmie pickup is huge because now that look, right, I'm gonna ask you a question. Are these Articuno EXs doing anything, or is Starmie just the nuts and getting all the work done and the birds are just sat there looking nice? Because that's what I see.
I mean, Starmie's basically just a Giovanni Articuno, right? Like,
there you go.
swap out the Giovannis for the
less
Sabrinas.
cost to attack, 0 retreat cost, strictly better.
Absolutely insane card for sure. The Bench Splash not doing anything here, but there is a world where Bench Splash does something. But
yeah, this is problematic though, because of course Zephyr already has a point. So this retreat has to happen because now he's seen that there's a Starmie there. So this simply has to happen. The only don't get me wrong, I think Zephyr is going to win the game, but it would have been a little bit interesting to hold the Starmie as a surprise factor, because then maybe the Charizard stays in. However, in a world where red card exists and you're on match point, you play the Starmie and just say that's going to be enough. But I think on ladder, there's a world where you just hold that Starmie, or in closed deck lists, maybe you hold it. But yeah, I think they made the right play. I just thought I'd bring it up as an interesting point because it's such an awkward spot for Charizard here. There's a world where you think, what if I do blow up the Starmie? They don't have the second one. They can't really attack with Articuno unless they high roll Misty and then win off the back of that, right? But no, it was not meant to be.
yeah, for sure. Try to bait that Charizard into staying in. Fun fact, as Zephyr's looked a bit more, he's running 2 red cards. Not sure about the 2 count and no Sabrina, but we both sides
And they made top cut, Ursi.
I love red card. I love red card. I want to state this. I'm a red card stan.
I like red card more than I like fossils. I'll tell you that for free. I have 2 hatreds in this game. It's Meowth and fossils without the evolutions.
Not Articuno? I'm surprised.
Oh, well, okay. I can at least understand playing Articuno. You might like the Pokemon. You might, be really good at Misty, I guess. But fossils and Meowth blow my mind. However, while I was complaining about cards, we did see the end of that game. And again, Starmie just too strong. And it's funny because we've seen both players do the thing now, right? Like one player ramped straight to Charizard, game over. The other player managed to run over a not perfect start with Starmie. So it'll be interesting to go into game 3.
Yeah, we are going to game 3. It does look like we're going first on the side of the Charizard here. Interestingly enough, the Charizard came perfectly on a ramp. And still not enough energies. Moltres too strong. True MVP of the deck.
Yeah.
We do have a Charizard start again. Charmander start here again.
Yeah, I did an EX Pokemon tier list like a week or so when when we were all in New Zealand, obviously for the early launch.
Such a great time
I did
in New Zealand.
Exactly. A week in, I did like an EX. I actually put Moltres alone in S tier because I think the impact, or at least I thought at the time, the impact Moltres has on games is so big because that ramp is just absurd. But here we see the Charmander opening again. However, there's an X-Speed and a Moltres. X-Speed always there to save the day.
I'm surprised that they're deciding to X-Speed early, though. They can't attach energy. They can't use Inferno Dance this turn. And I guess we don't have any Sabrinas, so that's what makes it safe here. Because otherwise, I would be afraid of that Sabrina coming up.
Yeah, you're completely right. That if you really have to think, is there a reason to use an X speed, and are you weak to Sabrina? And yes is the answer, because imagine now and they're just Sabrina, and you're like, oh,
One wasted
okay,
X speed.
like it feels bad. Yeah, I'm in a worse spot now. But yeah, you're completely right with the knowledge of no Sabrinas, because this is an open decklist tournament, of course. It's huge, right? Because you can make these plays with confidence as opposed to sort of having to guess to an extent.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like half the time we talk about like how dangerous red card is in open deck list because it offers that threat that like forces people that they can't be greedy and wait for later turns. But we're kind of seeing here exactly the threat of Sabrina as well in these open deck lists. Just
100%.
How can affect gameplay.
It's something I remembered a long time ago where there was a player who played in a big Hearthstone tournament. It was open deck list. It was a really big one. And they put a really, like a burst card, like burst damage from hand, into every single deck. It was the same because of neutral, purely to have to make their opponents think about it. Because it did 6 damage. It's like, well, every time they've got to think, well, what if they have that? Can I play around it? So it caused a problem, them just knowing it's there. Very similar to red card in this instance, where if you know your opponent plays it, you have to make these choices. Sometimes you have to dump cards just to get them out.
Exactly. We are going to see them fill up their entire bench with these single point attackers here, and that 2 energies off that Inferno Dance. Oh my gosh, Starmie's fully powered up though, and I feel like the question's gonna be here: are we gonna be able to see those evolutions quick enough on Calvis's side?
Yeah, because the energy's there, right? The Charmander's got 2 energy already, and the Moltres obviously has the ability to go. Oh,
And scope. Oh no.
oh, no Sabrinas, 2 Articuno EXs, hand scope.
2 hand scope. 2 hand scope. It turns out.
This.
Where's our Sabrinas though? Where are our Sabrinas?
However, there is a point here for Charizard, or the Charizard player, should I say, where they would be fully covered from Sabrina. The Charmander's got all the protection in the world anyway. But again, it also means that it sounds a bit silly, but you'll know what I mean, right? You can overcommit to your bench.
For sure.
In this matchup. Because again, there's no Sabrinas. So once you've got, if you put Charizard in, it's there until you decide it's not, right?
100%.
And I think that's really, really interesting that the Growlithe can be chucked down, the Charmanders can be chucked down, because it doesn't matter. You don't have to curate your bench, which you often have to do in other matchups.
Especially as Charizard, like that biggest risk half the time is you lose that Moltres, your Charizard goes up. Hopefully they don't have a Sabrina to take out that other Mon that's stuck on the bench.
Exactly.
But
weirdly enough, the biggest weakness of Moltres, especially in this deck, is that it's an EX Pokemon, right? You always want to start it. It very rarely does a lot of damage, so it ends up getting knocked out or retreated. But if it does get knocked out, yeah, you can put yourself in that awkward spot.
For sure. I think it's okay to mention some of the cards in our player's hand since they hand scoped. So the opponent does know them. There is a research and 1 red card in Calvis's hand. Since it's open knowledge for Zephyro, I don't feel like it's a huge problem to mention that. So we could be seeing more drawing. We haven't found a Charizard, or we still need to find a Charizard. The question is, if we're gonna find it on time. It does look like he's answering. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, this is why you're good at the job, because I see hand scope and all I do is go, why are they playing hand scope? You see it and you're like, okay, now we can talk about the cards because there's no issues and so on, so on. And I'm just like, why hand scope? That's as far as my brain takes it.
I mean, I dislike hand scope. Half the time people come into my stream, I feel like, they're like, why should I play red card? I don't have space in my deck. Then they come back after our argument about it, and they're like, so I added hand scope into my deck as well, and I think I'm gonna run red card. No. I'm like, how do you have 2 spaces if you didn't have the first space in the first place? But this guy's done 4. He's done 4.
Yeah, it went from 0 to a million space in the deck. This Starmie though, what a majestic Pokemon. Look at this, just soloing. just stood there like, yeah, just bring it on.
I'm not a single Articuno. If we are able to knock out this Starmie, it could be a bit of a problem, because in Pokemon, if there's no Pokemon left on the bench, the game does end even if it's been taken away.
Yeah, and looks like this is going to be a tough one here. Zephyr on one point, the Charmeleon going to be able to tank again. Obviously, the two Moltres, if any of those go down, it is game. Zephyr will win. However, of course, the Charmeleon says, I put myself forward as tribute here onto the active spot.
A little
And
bit extra health with evolution, but not enough for that 90 damage
no,
attack.
yeah, 110 as well with the weakness, so Charmeleon wasn't even close. However, there's what, exactly one turn to say hello Charizard, right?
Exactly. Well, two,
And
because there's
again,
that Moltres on the bench, and you can't Sabrina
oh,
around it.
yes, you are completely right. Yeah, I was gonna say the no Sabrina makes it super safe, but there is a Moltres that can just factually tank, and that's why it's so strong. Like, and because there's already 4 energy, the 2 energy can be committed to Moltres to just
Mhm.
retreat it the turn after as well,
All XC
and
Elites, I believe,
it'll
have
get to
been played,
dance.
though. Oh,
Wait.
why? Oh my
Oh, because
god!
they're a god. That's why. They have no need for this strategy malarkey. Just draw the card. What's the problem?
Oh no.
Well,
That's game.
just like that.
Just like that.
Oh no. Oh no. What a way
Insane.
to go. I will say, I cannot believe. Wait, they must have had more than 2 cards left, right?
That, I guess,
Surely?
it is a
Did they?
question if they have any
Because if
cards
they had
dead
two
left in the
cards
deck.
left and they were like both Charizard, sure, but I'm not sure we were that deep in the game. Maybe I'm wrong. But to just play the Charmeleon, if they knew the draw was Charizard, that's fine. If they knew there was just the 2 cards left or something. But if they didn't, you were completely right when you were saying the Moltres can come out, they attach an energy, dance, takes a hit from Starmie, attach an energy next turn,
And retreat.
retreat the Moltres, Charizard go. So you were completely right with the plan there. It's just they just didn't care. They were just like, nah, we're just gonna draw the Charizard. Fair enough.
Absolutely insane. I'm going to see if we can find us another match. A lot of
Mhm.
top 32 is finishing out here, and top 16 is getting filled up. Let's see if we can find one. Um, does look like our Wigglytuff is 1-1 right now. Not sure if they are still going or not. What channel we're in?
Or is this when we have player names on the site that don't match player names in
Yeah, that
Discord?
happens
Yeah,
sometimes
it's an
still.
absolute nightmare. Yeah.
Okay, it says they're in Discord. Oh, but they just marked game 3. The Wigglytuff is making it into top 16. Wigglytuff is
I'm
making it
happy.
into top 16. So we'll have to watch that one next for sure. Let's
Mhm.
see if there's another game. I'm gonna check.
I think 7 looks like it's still going, but
We can hop into 7 then and check it out. And
I don't know
let's.
what game it is. It just looks like it's still active, that's all.
That's V for Varo. I do think that matches in the. No, he's. They haven't started top 16, but he's finished his game.
Ah, okay. Oh, so it's probably just sat in Discord. Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think he's just sitting. Uh, the one in 2 may still go. I'm gonna hop in and check that one real quick. If you wanna follow me, I guess how far they're in. They're in
Hmm.
game 3 though.
Yep.
Okay, I think we can check.
Yeah, looks like it's going to be Pika versus Charizard. A
Fun
battle
matchup.
swiftly becoming as popular as the Pika versus Mewtwo matchup.
Yeah, this is very true. It's gonna be Kiwi 21 versus
Oh wait, that
versus
is
Merope.
That's nuts. Did you see what just happened?
No, what just happened? I was typing up
They just
names.
brought Charmander in with one energy and just flew the Ember at Zeb Striker. Just
Oh
but it's because they have like infinite energy if you look on the bench, right? Like
no.
Arcanine's done. There's a Moltres with what, four, one Moltres with one. It's fine. It just looked funny. And obviously this is similar to what we talked about earlier. The points are 1-1 by the looks of things. So this is just we'll just deal the damage, let Charmander tank something, and then go with something else. But this looks like it might be relying a little bit on what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I'm interested as well because Zapdos is a little bit difficult or awkward going to Charmander. With this Giovanni, he's only need one heads, but it's
Yeah,
never fun to rely on a
this
coin
is
flip.
where you utter the words "I only need one," and then you get zero
Oh,
straight after. Like it happens
he
100%
got
of the
the one.
time.
He got the one. He
Okay,
got the one. She got the one. Um,
solved.
solved. But it will be that second point for Merope here.
Yeah. Doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, once you've got a bench full of EX Pokemon, the second point is kind of, loosey goosey because it becomes very simple. One Pokemon now gets knocked out, and that's the game. Pretty
Um,
straightforward. Moltres is going to be up there again. This is going to come down to those Thundering Hurricanes, but it's able to just Heat Blast this Zapdos and basically put Zapdos on a clock. However, Pika is a deck that even though people might be sick of it or whatever, I think it's a very entertaining deck to pilot as well as watch because
mhm.
you've got options. You can always retreat into something else and then cycle that into something else because these retreat costs are so low and you normally do run X speeds as well. And I think
Yeah,
that's really interesting where this Zapdos now can just back out and just let the Zeb Striker go in for one and kind of return the favor that the Charmander did back with the Zeb Striker.
that's very true. Um, I think it's interesting that we saw that Moltres put some damage into Zapdos as well. They never built up Charizard on Merope's side, and they're not running Giovanni in their list, so that
Hmm.
Arcanine cannot one-shot the Zapdos. We are going to see, though, that Zebstrika is going to put Moltres in range of only two flips, or a knockout onto that Pikachu. Oh, he just attacked with... Okay, 2 points from Merope. I guess there wasn't really much of
Yeah,
an option.
Yeah, I think that the issue is that they are just hoping that the problem here is any attack they make puts everything in Pika range, right? Because if the
Yeah.
Arcanine goes in, that's going to deal 20 to itself. It's in Pika range. The two Moltres will get absolutely wiped from this as well. There is obviously two basics still in hand. Very likely, I would guess, from how far we are into this game. If you look at the player clocks, they're on like 14 minutes or so. So like it's likely they're nearing the bottom of the decks. And if there's still not one a Zapdos and a Pika EX been played yet, very likely that's the fill, and Kiwi takes the victory there. Did you say this match was 1-1
Yeah,
before we
that's
came in?
gonna
Oh,
decide.
nice.
Kiwi is going to be into top 16 now. They ended up going 2-2, and now Kiwi has taken the. Um, is there any other? I think. Oh, it does look like there's one that only finished one game so far. Let me see what that they might be in. Uh,
Oh yeah, there's one match that hasn't been filled in, right?
yeah, that's Asturian Vet is streaming on Twitch. I'll send a link to it real quick.
Oh,
They're
okay, cool.
only in game 2, so maybe we can
Sounds
get
good.
games out of that.
Got it.
Get that popped up on stream here, guys, and then we can watch another one.
Looks like this is going to be Pika versus Mewtwo. Also, their opponent, a Hearthstone or World of Warcraft fan, based on their name. Okay, now it looks like Asturian is 2 points up, just to give you some radio commentary when we get the stream up, of course.
I
Just knocked
appreciate it.
out a baby Mewtwo. Oh, this is not looking good for their opponent, Leroy Jenk here. Corellia's had to come down into the active spot with only one energy, and the bench is Ralts and again baby Mewtwo with one energy. And Zapdos, Pika EX, they're all out for blood here at this point.
We're just swapping over just in time then. Let's
Yeah,
see
you're gonna
our.
swap over, and Zapdos is gonna Hurricane something, and it's gonna be game.
Honestly,
Okay, there's a
probably.
Mewtwo EX. Okay, that's something. Because up until that Mewtwo EX point, as you can see from this game state now, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't looking good for the Mewtwo player.
It was not, and they're currently down a game in this series. So it is currently 1-0 for Sturian Vet. I'm surprised to see that into a Mewtwo deck, though. Mewtwo, especially with that baby Mewtwo, just feels so strong in a Pikachu, in my opinion.
Mm.
So it's kind of crazy.
I think their opening must have been quite bad, if I'm being honest. Because if you look again, like there's the Corellia, one Corellia just came down,
Hmm.
and the first point, or at least one of the points, was a normal Mewtwo, and the other point that Astarian Vet must have been what? Maybe are they playing Jinx? Sorry, I didn't have the deck list up. That's my
Let
fault.
me
Let me get it.
check that real quick.
Just
It,
because they've got 2 points and one Mewtwo's knocked, but there's still two routes, so
it
I'm
looks
guessing
like
there's
there's
a
supposed to be only
Jinx.
one baby Mewtwo.
Oh,
Maybe they had knocked a Mewtwo EX then?
but I'm sure they just knocked a Mewtwo out. Anyway, maybe I'm wrong. Either way, a bit of a strange one there, but still a victory there for Astorian.
Yep, and that is going to be, looks like everyone is done with top 32 now. So we can go and find us a top 16 game. Let me announce that top 16 again, and then we'll be able to hop into those. I'm going to bring up that standings for chat so everyone can see how it is looking at the bracket. That up, and everyone can see the different matchups right now. I do think we're going to try to watch that Wigglytuff game, possible.
Oh yeah, I'd love that.
Are there any other interesting matchups that you're seeing?
I was taking a look. A lot of Pikachu got through. We've got Pika Rye Mirror, then Pika Zeb and Pika Rye matchup. Obviously, the Wiggly Charizard got through that we saw earlier. The Greninja and Articuno beat the Charizard in that previous round as well. But yeah, honestly, for me, Wiggly, of course, right at the top of that list, and then probably again, weird as a request from me, but the Articuno EX Greninja going up against the Mewtwo. So Zello and Mark Coco could be pretty interesting as well. Mainly because I just like Greninja more than I dislike Articuno EX, so it wins.
Oh no. I feel like you have to be feeling a little bit awkward wanting to play against or watch an Articuno fight, especially when it's like the
Yeah,
main attacker in that deck.
yeah, it hurts. I'll be honest, it simply hurts. Let's have a look at the list. Oh yeah, it is just Articuno Greninja as well, right? There's no other Pokemon in there. It's just two Articuno EX and then two Greninja Lions. Makes sense. That deck plays Sabrina though, so they've got some flexibility. Unlike the other one that we saw a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, I think Sabrina is really needed to deal with some of these, especially just that threat as we saw.
Mhm.
Gosh, Calluses was just able to put out as many mons as they wanted. They had almost basically zero risk in setting
Right.
up as wide as possible in with their deck, whereas normally that would be a huge vulnerability in Charizard.
100%. It's that freedom that very similar to as we discussed of red card. You don't have to worry about dumping cards or professor research timing or whatever. It's just no, they don't play red cards. I'll draw what I want when I want. Although I have actually maxed hand size once in this game so far, which got a little bit weird. But yeah, other than that, it's quite good. And just looking at this as well, I've got a bit of a hot take if you want it. I'm
Well,
just looking
here's
at this Weezing Arbok Wigglytuff deck,
mhm,
and they're playing the new promo Jigglypuff.
yeah.
After playing it, I think the other one's better. I'm going to be completely honest. And again, might be a bit of a spicy one, but I feel like the Sing doesn't often do that much, and it being much more susceptible to the damage is very, very scary. So I think I tried it out a lot, but I think going forward in my Wiggly decks, I'm going to start playing the 60 health one again because it just, I don't know. It's one of those cards that you never want in the active spot anyway. So when you do want it there, you probably need it to tank, unlike, the 50 health one. I'm sure people are going to tell me now, no, it's the best. I kept one Pokemon asleep for 20 years, so it's the best.
I I'm I definitely think there's some like drawbacks to the Jigglypuff for sure, but I just like seeing is such a strong, or even the status conditions in general, like
Hmm.
paralysis, are so strong in Pokemon Pocket. In Pokemon themselves, it's a little like the standard game. It's a little bit balanced because there's cards that forcefully on the active spots,
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and we don't have that yet here. So honestly, to me, Sing can do this thing where like you have an auto loss against the deck, but now it's a 50-50.
Right.
What's going to
It
happen?
It only worries me because it's one of, right? It's one Jiggly and one Wiggly. So if that is your like one basic opener and you open it and it's gone, you've just lost Wiggly EX. So it's pretty scary. However, you could also just argue that it's very unlikely because there's two Ekans, two Coughing in the deck, and that base deck itself, just Wheezing Arbok as just a core of a deck can do enough anyway. So I guess if you see, Wiggly's just icing or something on the cake, then that's fine. But I am looking forward to seeing if we can get some work done.
We'll have to see how it ends up going. I think everyone is getting started now, starting to fill out the
Hmm.
different channels. So hopefully we'll be able to get to it. Uh, Ask them.
I'm gonna flick through the list to see if there's anything really sticking out here.
I actually find it so interesting that so many Charizards did not do well.
Hmm.
I Charizard, especially with that Arcanine now, I feel like could almost roll Pikachu's. Does that sound bad?
Do you think
But
the Pikas have adapted to it though? And not even necessarily in deck list, but just in play style, because they're more like they've just played against it more. They know, they know the sort of routes that it's going to take. And maybe this lean towards Zeb Strikers has helped a little bit, having more game against folks in the Charmander or the Growlithe at times. Maybe that's done something to help. I'm not sure because again, I'll be honest, I play against Pika and Charizard and Mewtwo a heck of a lot more than I play the decks myself. But I feel like that's where the flex, because even some of these lists, like this Zeb Striker from Mojo Sueco has a
mhm.
Pink Urchin in it, but then there's another Zeb Striker from is it their opponent? Yeah, the other Zeb Striker Pika from their opponent is running one Pika, one Raichu. So there's still just a lot of variation. I do just wonder if being used to Arcanine Charizard as like a normal build now, it's not a surprise factor. You know what it does, and maybe that's what's helping these Zeb Strikers and just Pikachu's overall get the job done. Because as you all know, it's a lot different playing against a deck that's fresh and you've not played against it that much before versus playing for a week and then running into it over and over again, right? 'Cause you suddenly just you feel the play patterns, right? You sort of get muscle memory for how to deal with it and you know what your win conditions are more clearly than trying to make them up on the spot.
Yeah, that is very, very, very true. I mean I haven't played too much Pikachu myself since like the Arcanine Rise. But I had always thought that like the counter would be Raichu. And like but I
Hmm.
obviously I'm wrong in that. That Wigglytuff deck is gonna be in channel 14, so we can go on and hop over there.
Cool.
So I'm gonna change over there now.
Sure.
And just bring up that
Oh, it looks like they're pretty much ready to go in as well.
give it
Searching for opponent.
perfect. So we can go on into the next one.
I'm ready for this though. I love Wheezing Arbok. The Wigglytuff's just like I said, the extra on top. I just love the Wheezing Arbok deck in itself. As long as the deck doesn't have muck in it, it makes me happy.
I don't like Muck at all, if I'm being honest. Obviously, he's strong and he still gets what picked up by Koga, but
Mm.
it feels
I,
like he needs too much of a start, like a setup.
yeah, I'm of the belief that if you ever Koga a muck, you've lost. Like
Honestly,
I think that's how I feel about the game and that card. If you ever Koga it, you've already lost, and you could be using that energy in a better way.
energies is just too much when there's like no way
Yeah,
to
yeah.
power it up. I mean, like even Zapdos, half time you just see like sitting around. We're gonna go and see them start up, guys. It is BCC versus Seraru. And we are looking at an Ekin start from Seraru's side. No
Mhm.
Jigglypuff, like Raven was worrying about a start for.
Yeah, this is really tricky though because I think you probably want the Wheezing start against Pika, right? Get the poison, maybe hit once, and then have the Koga into an Arbok to try and trap a Pika, and then go from there. Because this matchup, I will say, like I've played a lot of just
Mm-hmm.
Wheezing Arbok. Obviously, I can't really comment with the Wiggly or this build of Wiggly at least. But this matchup can be hard because Arbok like two shots Pika if they don't potion, and if they do, you're in trouble. And then if not, you it's like a matchup where you have to start wheezing to feel any sort of safety, at least in my experience, anyway.
Honestly, that like wheezing, coughing cycle with Koga feels so strong. You get those two
Mhm.
coughings down, you have your one wheezing, and swoop with the Koga, put the wheezing directly back down on that coughing that had been built up on your bench. It does look like we're going to see an Arbok here, but I'm
This is
interested.
just a long shot, right? Of like no Giovanni, or like and no basic, right? Or
Mhm.
no combination of those cards, should I say? Oof.
Now
Well,
questions about
there's a
the
basic.
Giovanni.
Yep, and there's a Giovanni. And this, though, I completely respect. You
Mhm.
could say, oh, you could have retreated into coughing, blah, blah. There's no point. In this position, because with a bad opening against their okay opening, obviously Pika didn't start with all three on bench. But like I think like it you've got to go for these plays, and you even see now actually not trying to get out of the Pika with no X speed seemingly available to save the Pika. It looks like they're just going to start building up the Zapdos because these are the plays you've got to make as the Wheezing Arbok player. Is just say, you know what, they're not going to have anything that's going to cause me trouble. I'm just going to have to go for it because those are the games you win, right?
Especially since they had decided to start with that Blitzel start, uh,
Yeah.
tapping with that Pokemon, no energy on the Pikachu. He's just gonna get stuck there. I wonder if this deck is just gonna be so strong. We're finally gonna pull you to the meta decks because I think Arbok Weezing is officially meta if he makes top 16.
Yeah, I agree. Arbok Weezing should always be meta. It's so good, and I think it's one of those weird decks that's underplayed enough to keep catching people out. Even though it's been a good deck for a long time, people just don't play it as much. It doesn't get the spotlight as much, and it does struggle against Pika a lot of the time as well, right? It can struggle against some of the big decks, although it chews Mewtwo a new one, of course. But it's like just under the radar enough to actually still catch people out. So I like it a lot. This Zapdos now is just saying it's just going to have to work, right? Peck's going to go down onto the Arbok. Hurricane has to come out, and something big has to happen because honestly, at this point, if like a Wheezing comes down, we've got the rage hand spam going on.
If we have
Um, it if the Wheezing, they're
Prima,
just okay, yeah,
oh,
fair
and
enough, yeah,
concede.
yep,
That's
because
gonna
the
be
peak is
game
gone,
one.
right? Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And I think that was really, really spicy there. And I really like the Arbok keep to just say go aggressive and say they're just going to be in trouble. Um, like potions wouldn't have caused a problem. Obviously, no retreat with the Arbok, and the as you said, the energy on the Blitzel. I think that was really good decision making from the Arbok Wheezing because though, like I said, in these awkward matchups, you need something good to happen, right? You
Yeah.
need something to go your way. So you should play as if it's going to go your way. Because if you play scared all the time, you will lose more. Like honestly, just play as if you're going to top deck the best card in your deck every single turn, and they're going to whiff every turn. Because that's how you pull these out the bag.
Well, if you play safe and know that you're not doing well, I guess you're just gonna end up losing anyway. Uh,
Exactly. Yeah.
uh here. It is a Blitzel start again for the Pikachu. I wonder if he's going to be able to find those different basics that he's. I feel like with Pikachu, I always brick. I never find like a full like bench setup. Um, so That's why I don't play personally. I can never get the whole bench.
Yeah. This is huge. This is what you want if you're Weezing Arbok. Because look at this start. It's just a Zeb Striker. So even the other Pokemon isn't playable. It's like the one Pokemon in the deck
Mhm.
that isn't playable on draw. So this is huge. Again, if there's an Arbok available here, this could be just maybe even a run over win, right? No bench from Pika. This is as good as it's gonna get. There's still a chance if there's a Zeb Striker there and a Giovanni, and no way to have it fill the bench. This could be a little bit spicy, but
I guess if there's like, I wonder if we'll find an Arbok. I mean, obviously we can't attack with it this turn, but if we were able in some world to find Zebstrika, we have at least 5 cards in hand, and we didn't see another basic come down. That's either Zebstrika or those different support Pokemon. With a Giovanni, that could have been dangerous for the Ekin. We do see Arbok, and
yeah.
Weezing might be
Well,
very shortly.
yeah. The good thing about this play, and you were kind of pointing it out honestly, where let's say there's no basics because they just would be on board. You would almost certainly imagine.
Mhm.
If there's a Zeb Striker, you miss the attack this turn because you evolve into Arbok, which is fine.
Yeah.
Zeb Striker doesn't exactly delete Arbok, right? Like, Arbok can just take the hit and not care, it's fine. And especially if there's something like a Sabrina to then trap a Pika in and hit with Arbok, that's huge at that point. So I really like the play. It's going to be Sabrina into a coughing to try and get the work done. And yeah, the Zeb Striker's going to try and whittle down this Arbok and not have a repeat of last game.
Fingers crossed for him. But I wonder if we're going to see Weezing come down. He does about 50 damage per turn throughout the rotation to get all the way back to Weezing. So he doesn't knock out Zebstrika this turn in any means.
Honestly, there's a world where oh, okay, X speed. I was just gonna say, Wheezing Koga could have actually been a good play this turn, just to get the coughing out. Well, all the wheezing at the time out to get Arbok back in and start crunching. So, obviously X speed achieves the same thing without needing Wheezing Koga, but it's just something that if I was in their position and I had Wheezing Koga in hand, I would have considered it because you really want this Arbok to start munching on this Zeb Striker to at least get something done and try and 1-for-1 at a bare minimum with the Zeb Striker.
Yeah, even with the Giovanni, that could have been that whole 90, right? 60 plus 10 and the 70 plus the 10 would have been able to knock out Zebstrika as it comes back around if they didn't retreat.
Yep.
But both sides kind of seem to be bricking a little bit here. We don't have anything on the Pikachu side, really. And Arbok... Oh, we do see the... Not very full board from Zeraru, though, either. We are capturing the Zebstrika. He can't knock out anyone this turn.
Yeah, this is where decisions get really weird, right, for Zeb Striker. And I have sometimes like decision paralysis when I'm like, right, do I aim for the Jiggly? Because it's like, if I get, especially with the Blitzel on board now, if I get another Zeb Striker, you can take out the Jiggly. Because this deck only runs one, then the Wiggly doesn't exist as well, right? So that's something. But there are also a lot of energy away from that. So do I try and focus down the Arbok? But the Arbok's nearly down anyway. Pika probably deals with that. So then do I focus on coughing? But if they evolve into wheezing, they can Koga the wheezing and delete the damage I did from the game anyway. So you get in that really weird circle of like, I wish Zeb Striker didn't let me pick and just hit something because now I have too much choice at times. You can always poke holes in everything.
Yeah, honestly, I feel that way about Pikachu a lot of the times. And I feel like people got mad at me about it for a little bit, where I'm like, there's too many decisions with Pikachu. Do I try to set up for a Paralyze, and although it's Pincurchin? Do I try to set up for that Coin Flip for 200? You're doing anywhere from 30 to 90 damage with Pikachu, and Zebstrika could start even bench sniping or hitting the Pokemon in the active. There's just so many different choices with Pikachu. I think that's one
and
of
you also only got so much energy as well, right? And suddenly it's like, and this is where matchup knowledge is important as well. Not so much in this exact instance, but one thing I spot from a good Pika player to a great one is when they decide to commit to a Zapdos, when they
Ah,
know they're going to need Thunder and Hurricane to win the game. Because the drawback of the Pika decks most of the time is they're doing 90, 110 with weakness, sure, whatever.
no.
But they're doing 90 or less
Yeah.
normally. So if they know, right, I do have to juice a Zapdos because in this matchup I need a big hit to actually make an impact. But as we're talking about that, the Arbok is going to clear that off quite nicely and still be on enough health to tank a hit.
Yep, it's gonna be the first point of this game for Sararu,
Mhm.
but definitely think Arbok is going down here.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah,
speaking of Zapdos.
Pikachu is like definitely those difficult ones where you don't really one-shot most Pokemon if they've been able to evolve at all. And then Zapdos just like, what if you end up hitting all tails?
Yeah. Yeah. This is also it's really weird to I think that Wheezing Arbok's still ahead here because I'm not sure what I think about this Blitzel because I guess it's safe, right? This Blitzel never gets knocked this turn. So that's fine actually with the X speed. I was worried that because there's been a Zeb Striker lost,
Yeah.
this Blitzel, if this Blitzel could have been knocked out, this Pika's sat there with 2 energy and a dream, right? It's not hitting for any relevant damage for the whole game because Pokemon keep getting knocked out one by one.
Yeah.
However, the Blitzel takes any attack here. The Arbok can't come in because there's no energy on the Ekans. The Wigglytuff can't because they'll only be up to 2 energy and they need 3 for Wigglytuff attack. So outside of like Koga into Sing from the Jiggly, this Blitzel with this X speed can always get out if it needs to help juice the Pika. Because again, if this Pika sits here and does nothing, like we were talking about, that's 2 energy this game that's achieved nothing so far. Like it's literally done nothing whatsoever, which is scary.
Very true. I wonder if this Blitzel is going to sit in or if they're going to put that Pikachu in this next turn. Because obviously Blitzel gets knocked out here more than likely, but Pikachu's more than likely not going to one-shot anyone either. I mean,
Hmm.
coughing. It has the chance to, since there's 2 Pokemon on the
Yeah,
bench, but
I actually really like putting Pika in because you've still got Blitzel as sort of Sabrina shields. Let's say you can put Blitzel back in to tank from a Sabrina.
mhm,
Also, Blitzel, sorry, Pika won't get trapped
yeah.
because Ekans has no energy. So there cannot be an Arbok evolve into trap the Pika into GG. So like and especially now with the way the energy looks like it's going, you also can't be trapped with Jiggly into Wiggly because the sing won't the sleep won't happen from Wigglytuff's attack. So I think I actually quite liked letting the Pika go in, hit 60, tank a hit or two, and then build up the Zapdos in the back, get to that 3 energy and go for Thunder and Hurricane to knock out the likes of Wiggly EX, Wheezing. Because the problem is when you're dealing damage to a coughing or Wheezing and you don't knock it out, all you're thinking about is this damage is wasted because they're going to Koga every single time. So I think I liked holding the Zapdos back and building it up.
Yeah, I think it might have been an interesting play, especially because, I mean, I guess we couldn't see Giovanni that turn, but the Zapdos is definitely going to be needed if we see Wigglytuff. Sararu's definitely got a little bit of a difficult spot on their energy on the bench. We are seeing that Wigglytuff come down now, but we only had 1 energy on that Jigglypuff, 0 on the Ekans. Nobody was really in range of being able to attack.
And this is now scary that the Wigglytuff's down. Because at any point, obviously we don't know, but at any point, Koga, like Wheezing does this is the combo, obviously. You poison, Koga, Wiggly in, and now if this Zapdos is in trouble or low on energy, Zapdos doesn't threaten a Wiggly. This Pika, especially with this floating bench spot that we keep seeing, doesn't do anything really to Wiggly either. It's still going to take over 2 hits without a third Pokemon. So this is pretty scary. And this is sort of what I was talking about earlier, where knowing the matchups where you need the Zapdos to Thunder in Hurricane. Like, look at this matchup. You can never one tap a Weezing outside of Thundering, of course.
Yeah.
You can't deal with a Wigglytuff outside of Thundering. So I really feel like they should have tried to build up for a Thunder and Hurricane because outside of that, it's looking grim. And they are going to sort of pivot to that now. But this could have been a whole like this Zapdos could have had more health, right? Because now it is in range of you know I know, a poison tick maybe into a Wigglytuff, or are they running Giovanni? Sorry, let me check. Let me
Yeah, and they
double
even
check.
had to waste an X speed there to get
Yeah,
that Zapdos back. It does look like we're getting far enough
mm,
into the game that it might not matter, but I feel
right.
like being able to have those resources when you need them is so important.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I don't.
However, the Wheezing Arbok is not running Giovanni, so
Uh,
we can delete that from worrying with the 90 health and obviously 80 attack from the Wigglytuff. So that's something that we don't have to worry about. So that's something at least.
Wonder if we'll see. I mean, I'm sure we'll see Koga at some point. But
Mhm.
I definitely moments like this, like, oh, I could two-shot Wheezing, or the other coughing's already down. We might directly go back into another almost full health, and we do
There he is.
actually see Koga.
Full art as well. I respect it.
It's my
I'm
only full
jealous.
art pair, actually, like a full set that I
Oh,
have.
oh really? My only full set is I have like two Geos. What is it? Two Geos, one Misty, one Erica, one Sabrina. I think that's what I'm up to so far.
No
I need
Geos.
Brox.
Okay, so we are gonna see that sleep now. This
Oh,
is.
it's so good.
Oh, we wake up.
Okay,
We wake
okay.
up.
They are strictly good at the game. They rolled heads.
What's the one saying you can pick? I'm good at rolling
Yeah, there you go.
or flipping heads. Now he's gonna need 3 of them though on that Zapdos to be able to finish off this.
Yeah, this game just got very simple. Zapdos, flip heads. Done. Like that's the game.
Basic.
Although it's hang on. Can this happen? Did they run X speeds? Hang on. There's
Uh,
they do run X speeds. I'm not sure if they've changed. I'm trying to work out whether there's a retreat Wiggly, evolve Wheezing, Wheezing Poison, Koga Wheezing, back into Wiggly to attack and clear the Zapdos. Oh, they're going Zep Striker. Okay.
huh. I'm
Oh, is this
interested.
just to tickle the Wiggly? Okay.
That's still not gonna be enough though. It's only gonna be like 30 damage. Because that, I guess
I'm
BCC is
wait.
running Giovanni, but I'm not sure if they've already used it or how many they've already used.
No, there's one in hand, right? So they can. Oh, uh-oh. I was trying to work out where I blinked because I was looking at something, but I don't. Did the Pika player use a supporter card that turn? Because I was trying
Uh,
to work out was it not better to just use the Giovanni if they had it to just put the Wiggly down to 100? Because then that's 2 Zapdos heads, right, instead of 1.
that's true. Yeah.
Instead of 3, sorry.
It looks like neither players are running red card, so I guess he doesn't really have to worry about that risk.
Oh, they're awake
Another
again.
awake, my god.
But now this is the problem, right? Now it's going to cost an energy to retreat
And that's gonna be no.
into and that means a peg.
If we hadn't have had to use the X speed earlier, he'd have his X speed.
Yeah, yeah.
It actually came in handy, but not.
Okay, going Zeb Striker again.
Okay. The Psycho will put him in range of a Pikachu attack.
Ah, there's a problem with this though. Is that with the extra, because now it looks like the Wheezing Arbok player just either hasn't drawn Arbok or doesn't care about Arbok at this point, which is fine. They're stacking energy on Wiggly, which could lead to an X speed Wiggly into Wheezing into Koga, like I said earlier. So, like, there's a real problem here where if this Wiggly jumps back now and is replaced with a Wheezing, well, okay, if you bring Zapdos in to knock out the Wheezing, 1, you need the 3 heads or 2 with a Giovanni, and 2, if you get that, fine, but you've still not won. And if you don't get that, then they do poison, flip out into Wiggly, and in its game. So this is such a tricky game. This is why Wheezing Arbok's cool, guys.
You
Go and play
mean
it.
Wigglytuff Wheezing Arbok
Yeah,
is cool.
sorry,
Just
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
just
Wiggly
saying.
tough, yeah.
Nobody does 80 damage this deck other than
True.
um but yeah, they do have enough energy that they could do that retreat and power up another turn. Definitely feels like a hard spot for BC. Their Pikachus are all in range of getting knocked out. That Zapdos does have a 10 damage buffer, but we are going that Wheezing, like you said. and should be a knockout in the strike a following turn, unless we're gonna see a retreat here.
At least the energy's already there for a retreat.
That is true. Yeah.
Oh, that is infuriating. I actually wonder if it would have been better for Zeb Striker to get knocked out then, because then you can potentially use the new Zapdos to tank just for a little bit more, maybe do a little bit more damage. But now, what I always
True.
find funny about moments like this, because now we're just coin flipping, right?
Needs to.
This could have been done about 5 turns ago, right? But
Yeah,
we
he could
always
have.
end
He
up in
could
the same
have.
spot. Yeah, there's nothing. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with how they've played, but it just always makes me laugh where there's all of these
Oh.
back and forth moves, and it always comes down to the coin flip. So the Weezing is going to go down,
Mm-hmm.
but now because the Wigglytuff managed to get the energy in time to retreat, this jumps in, and guess what? We're back down to seeing if they're going to wake up or not.
I wonder if there's somewhere where they have we seen 2 Kogas or only 1? Because if we could like promote the coughing. Oh, we are going with. We could promote the coughing, wheezing
think,
Koga with the poison.
Yeah, I think we only saw one Weezing. Sorry, one Koga. So maybe. Yeah, we only saw the one full art, right? I'm
Yeah,
sure,
I believe we only
we had
saw
that.
one.
I'm sure we only saw one. So that last draw might have been Weezing number 2,
Yeah.
right? So they might not have actually had it to have done it.
Oh,
But
we also
here,
had potion.
they woke up again.
Bro, how's he eating 3 heads? Bro, BCC rolling all heads today. And now he wants. Oh no, we're retreating.
Yeah, this is guaranteed, right?
Yeah,
90.
this is game now.
Yeah.
Yep.
This peak has had 2 energy all game. Finally redeemed as the peak comes in to grab the victory. What a game.
That's
I enjoyed
only
that
game
one.
2 though, and they're now 1-1. So we will be having a game 3 here. We'll have to see how it ends up going. Let me quickly minimize this so that no passwords are leaked. And I will...
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I really think that Koga Weezing is one of the coolest things in the game, because for both players it creates these like weird situations, right? Where like because it kind of breaks the rules in a sort of fair-ish way, I suppose. But like because it does that, you have to think about the matchup differently for both players, right? You've got to work out, how do I want to use Weezing and Koga, and then your opponent has to think about how they're going to deal with the Weezing and Koga. And I think it creates these really cool back and forth games that evolve into much more than just who hits who harder, right? Because so much health can be sort of recovered and messed around with, especially against Pika, who's good at retreating, as we've seen throughout that game.
Yeah, for sure. It creates more of those like mind games that we were talking about with some of those other cards. Koga is definitely able to incorporate that. We're starting Ekans here. They're going first.
Another one.
Yeah.
Ekans opening every game now.
Every game.
That is actually a little bit rough. Not opening Wheeze, unless, I mean, I doubt they're choosing to because they don't have a coughing on the bench, obviously. But like opening Ekans every game, unless you're playing, and even probably not, but unless you're playing against like exactly Mewtwo, you don't really want to ever open Ekans. So it's like a little bit unfortunate we've seen that every game in this match so far.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, I guess you do want coughing in the active, so it wouldn't make sense. I wonder if there's somewhere that they're like holding like Jigglypuff or something, right? To avoid Sabrina.
Mm-hmm. Potentially, yeah. You're going to see a decent start though for Pika on the bottom. Pika EX, Zapdos, and a Blitzel there. X Speed as well. I feel like X Speed is the most terrifying card in a lot of decks, especially the Pika one. Because if they have the only thing that holds Pika back is it has no energy ramp. I'm not talking about Raichu, obviously that's a little bit of a different conversation, but it has no energy ramp. So its energy is fair, right? It's playing a fair game. But X Speed cheats that, right? And it's like in a deck that wants to keep retreating and cycling anyway, X Speed is just terrifying. However, they did find coughing. I managed to put that in the active spot and then building up that Arbok. And even in Ekans now to defend a little bit against Sabrina. Quite nice setup here.
Yeah, nice turn to Raru. It does look like Pikachu is getting a little bit stuck on their basics again. This is the third game that Blitzel is getting started as well. Sabrina does come down, just like you mentioned.
I like this. This uses up the... okay. Okay. I was very interested to see if they were going to just throw away the Ekans. Because the Ekans was a good defense against Pika with Arbok. But now they've chosen to actually say, actually, no, you're not getting a free point and just knocking out the Ekans if you have X speed. You're gonna have to go dance with Arbok at this point. My only worry is this Arbok's gonna do like 60 damage and then just get knocked out, and I'm not sure how good that actually is.
Yeah, I'm
I
trying
think
to
I would
see
have
if
sacrificed the
there's
Ekans.
no potions on Seraru's. I wasn't sure with the
Hmm.
Arbok if there's a chance that we might just see a double potion out of range of the again instead of seeing
Right.
a Sabrina. I mean, we could take our first point on Blitzel, but doubt they'll put up the Zapdos. That's just gonna get stuck there with what is it, corner is attack?
Yeah. This is a nice play though, because
Oh,
like this play, if they do put the Blitzel in, weakens Pika, right? So
true.
I do actually like this Sabrina. I think it's a pretty good, pretty smart Sabrina, because they either sacrifice Blitzel, which makes Pika worse,
Mm-hmm.
or they put in Zapdos, and then you do this. You're gonna get pecked. You cannot get knocked out this turn ever. You
True.
get pecked once, and then if there's a good setup here. Let me just triple check again. Yeah, no Giovanni's, but if there's like a Wheezing, then just Wheezing Poison manages to actually knock out a Zapdos. So it ends up being like a positive exchange overall. So both players making a pretty heads-up plays here. Although I expect nothing less from top 16.
True, very true. We do get a potion to start pulling that Zapdos out of potential range. And the Giovanni is coming down. We're gonna see 30 damage, but Ferrari's gonna really need to set up on his bench now if he wants. Yeah, because 10 health on the one Pokemon with the energy attached is not great.
Hmm.
Luckily, 1 point attackers, so he'll have 3 when he can toss.
And also there's with the if this means there's a second Arbok, this is strictly the correct place to put energy this turn, by the way. This doesn't mean there's an Arbok. Weezing only ever needs one energy, so you never need to put an energy on him until you use him, which is fine. So the Ekans always gets the energy. But if there's an Arbok and a second Sabrina, this game's kind of over, right? Because this Zapdos will get knocked out,
Yeah, very true.
and then the Arbok lives versus any other attack. And then if there's Sabrina into a Blitzel or even Zeb Striker, the Arbok probably just checking the old deck list there.
Oh, yeah, we're just checking deck list real quick.
Yep. Didn't see any
Understandable.
private messages, thank
Understandable.
God. Yep. So yeah, even if it's a Blitzel or a Zeb Striker, this is putting them in an awkward position here.
Yeah, last week in our top 4, we had Valeria call. One of our players. It was
Hmm.
it was actually really funny in the middle of top 4. But
What,
point one,
checking out stuff on the phone that shouldn't have or something.
we are player a point 1 for B. I guess we don't have that Arbok though, sadly.
Hmm. There might be one in hand though. Because there could still be okay, maybe not with the coughing positioning, but there's still a chance that you've always got to keep eyes open for like just okay, wheezing into Koga instantly, which can be good.
Going for this.
Gonna go for the brave sleep.
Surely after 3 heads, we're gonna get a tails here. Surely.
No way. Oh, okay,
Oh,
there it
let's
is.
go.
Clutch. I thought the Pika player was Insomniac or something, because those Pokemon were never asleep. But Zapdos getting a bit snoozy after a long day.
Understandable after how much he did last game.
Mm.
Second energy is attack. I mean, I guess there's not needed anywhere else on any on. It does seem like he might get knocked out fairly and wasted on him.
Yeah, the good thing is not going to get knocked out to Wigglytuff, right? So
Exactly.
maybe this is the idea of, okay, I'm asleep, but I'll heal, because the hand doesn't seem good from the Pika's point of view, right? There's like
Sure.
seemingly no Arbok, seemingly no Weezing because they've not been evolved. And obviously Jigglypuff, even if it was evolved into Wiggly, doesn't have the energy to attack. So I think this is a good call here. If Zapdos just tanks a turn or so more, maybe get to Zeb Striker or another Pika, this can set up to a bit of a big return burst.
I
Uh-oh.
think this up. Are we gonna see Arbok? This is the moment, and it
Oh, there it
is.
is. I love our box so much. Such a cool card. And if there's a Sabrina, there is big trouble.
For sure. That's gonna be 2 points for Sararu.
Kronos, I shouldn't read chat. Kronos is putting me off.
I think he's building you up, if anything.
I'm gonna have to close it. I'll get too big of a head. Here though, Pika's coming down. And again, this is the issue, right? Like, there is a Zapdos now, and I do think, yeah, it's not really a big brain play, but all of this energy needs to go on Zapdos. Because if there's a Sabrina, you can't put Blitzel in
For
right now
sure.
because it'll just get chomped by Arbok. Zapdos has to Hurricane.
Bonnie. I mean, it's only 70. But I guess I just put in range of Blitzel if in some world they decided to use that attack. I wonder if we'll see that Sabrina come down like you're saying, though, because we... Oh, the Sabrina is coming down.
That was the plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no is that both Geos been used now?
I think so,
Should
yes.
really... If this Arbok lives, that is disgusting.
Have to see. Oh god. You're gonna be very unfortunate for Serario. Let's see. Nope.
I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
But I doubt there's going to be another Sabrina, right? Like that moment has passed where it matters.
Yeah.
Oh. And this is again one of the strengths of I won't say a no EX deck because there's Wiggly in there, but in the worlds where Wiggly doesn't get played, you're basically playing a no EX deck, right? 2 Weezing, 2 Arbok. When this Arbok goes down, there's a whole nother Pokemon that has to get knocked out before this game ends in a bad way, and there's Weezing at last. It was only a matter of time till the big boy showed up.
Yeah,
But this is huge. This is just guaranteed, right?
Oh
at this
yeah,
point?
now we're just guaranteed.
It's huge.
I think it's so nice having those multiple 1-point attackers just because you're able to swap them out. I tried to do that a little bit with Charizard for a little bit because Moltres is already 2 points, it doesn't matter. But Weezing and Arbok are what make it work.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I play a lot of full non-EX decks for this reason, because if you build it right and you build it well, you feel incredibly tanky because it's less about Pokemon health and more about they have to knock out 3 of mine, I have to knock out 2 of theirs, which is a huge difference. But yeah, there goes the Arbok, but got to have MVP of the game to that Arbok being able to trap everything in, and it is going to be finished in any way. I kind of wish there was a Wigglytuff into energy on. Oh, Poison Pass.
We'll have to see. We'll have to see.
The gentleman's way to tackle. Okay. The real way is to the real way is to just Poison Pass, fart on him and walk away.
I feel like that's called BM. BM, not gentleman.
You're just using abilities. But yeah, great win though. I'm really happy to see the win. Nothing particular against Pika, but I just think the Weezing Arbok package with a Wiggly on top, of course, is super cool.
Went on and covered up that. Covered up the game. We should be getting to top 8 then now, which is gonna be super exciting. That's Wigglytuff making it another step forward. Absolutely insane right now. We have a couple actually like repeat players who've gotten first place in our tournament that are in our top 8. So maybe we'll start seeing. Somebody will get a second title today.
Oh yeah, we had. I remember there's always times in big tournaments where back-to-back winners is always mega hype. We've had that a few times, at least in Hearthstone, where there's been winners of majors. They've won 2 majors in a row, as in not even 2 they attended, but they were literally within a month of each other or something. It was huge. It's really impressive. But yeah, been some really good games today, honestly, and I think it really shows the difference between games on ladder right now, which is against. I'm guessing there's some level of matchmaking involved to some degree on ladder, but generally it's a free for all, right? You're against whoever. Versus games where people are serious, right? Not only have they made it this far, but even they're just queuing up for these awesome tournaments, right? You have to be at least semi-dedicated to playing these and pretty serious about the game. And I do think it really highlights the difference, and I've seen it a lot where newer players to Pokemon are like, oh, the game looks pretty simple. and then they play it a bit, and then they go, "Oh wait, there's actually a lot going on here, isn't there?" And it's like, yes, yes, there is. And the difference between a great player and an average player is actually huge, even though it may not on the surface look like that.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this game is simple enough where people are like, there's not any real decisions happening. It's like, no, there's even
Yeah.
the order of your Pokeball and your research are going to matter in this game. Obviously, maybe not as many decisions as those like standard 60 card player decks of physical Pokemon, but as I said, there's two players that have gotten first place in a tournament before. Those repeat successes just show how much those decisions do to play.
Hmm.
Even though people come into card games and they're like, I mean, like even in Magic or Pokemon, they'll be like, "Oh, you're just drawing cards. This is all random." That's not how it works.
Right.
um,
Yeah, I think a lot of the time discussions go, if a game is not chess, then it's basic. And it's just like, well, I think there's middle ground somewhere between chess and I don't know, tic-tac-toe or something.
for
So
sure.
yeah, I definitely I've known a few people who have, card gamers really make that transition to, I've played a bit of Pokemon. Oh, it's pretty straightforward. I've played a bit more of Pokemon. Oh, it's actually deeper than I thought. There's a like unlock moment where they're like, oh, actually, and it probably comes down to being outplayed at some point and thinking, oh yeah, I messed up.
Yeah. It does look like getting so many Pikachu's right now in our top 8. There's like
Oh
two
yeah, wow.
games that are not Pikachu. So I guess which game would you like to watch?
I mean, you know what my answer's gonna be. It's gonna be Weezing, Arbok, Wiggly against Charizard. But if you want to watch something else, by all means, you're the boss.
I'd be down to watch it again. I don't. I think one more time should be fine. I think one more time should be fine to watch. Exactly. Otherwise, it's mirror. Or there's the one U2EX Gardevoir versus Pikachu. But other than that, they're mirror matches.
We
Pikachu
can
right
watch
here.
that because I'm being
Mhm.
informed that you in fact hate Arbok. I didn't know you were an Arbok
I'm
hater.
a
So
big.
we.
I like Wigglytuff. I like Wigglytuff. I like seeing some
Oh, did
differences.
you hate? That is like the ultimate politician's response. You hate Arbok. I like Wigglytuff. What?
I am
The
a
ultimate
Wigglytuff
politician's
fan.
response here from Ursi.
I love
Jeez.
Wigglytuff. I mean, look, I got a sleeping Jigglypuff right here.
Yeah,
I got a
I
sleeping
was talking
Jigglypuff
about
right here.
Arbok.
I got a sleeping Wigglytuff right here. I don't know what you're
Okay.
talking about.
Okay.
And to
Well, I
be
won't
fair,
push this any further.
I'm a big
We'll watch
Koga
whatever match
Weezing
you
fan.
want.
I'm a big Koga Weezing fan. I'm a big Koga
Okay.
Weezing fan. I do it in my Venusaur deck. I play it in my
You play it in your Arbok deck?
I play it in my Venusaur deck.
Okay.
I play it in Dragonite. That's what I meant to say. I like Koga.
Mm-hmm.
I like Koga.
Okay.
Arbok
that's
doesn't get
fine.
picked up by Koga for some reason.
Oh, okay. Well, you can't have Muck, Weezing, and Arbok. That would be OP. But you know what they should have had that I actually would have kind of liked? Venomoth for Koga target. I think that would have been kind of cool actually. To just get in there poison, kind of just like Weezing, which is probably why they didn't actually. But get in there poison and then run away.
RavenHS. Ah!
I lost you.
I misclicked mid sentence and then I tried to click back into yours and then you have joined
I
here.
followed you. I
I'm
noticed there was
sorry.
no response. You ran
I'm
away because I said
sorry.
Arbok, so I found it again.
I'm gonna boot up this game. Have you heard the theory where Venomoth and Butterfree were like mixed up in
I have heard this. Yes.
because the eyes match Metapod to Venomoth, and right? Yeah, and then
Oh, and
Venonat,
Butterfree's Venonat, yeah. Oh,
Butterfree.
yeah, I didn't know about the eyes. I heard about they were mixed, but I didn't hear about any information. Oh, right, okay, I can see it. I can
Yeah,
see it.
that's what I heard the reason was, but I've been accused that I'm biased against Arbok now, and I left to silence any chatter about it.
I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't even talk about Arbok, apparently. I
I'm
heard
a
nothing
big
about
Koga
Arbok.
fan. I'm a big Koga fan. I don't know why anybody's upset about that. So opponent.
It looks like we are gonna do the Weezing Wigglytuff deck, apparently. And going up against the Moltres there with the opening. With Charizard, of course. I will just do radio cast. Oh no, we're there.
We
We're
have
good.
the
We're
game up.
good.
I'm just
That's why I
faking
pop
the
up. Yep.
points off. There we go. Alright, so we are starting Moltres like Cal says definitely once. We have finally ran into Raven's nightmare, the Wigglytuff start though. The Jigglypuff start.
I will say, in this exact situation, it's not so bad because the
Hmm.
Moltres isn't going to knock it out, right? At least in the first couple of turns.
Very true.
However, one thing I would like to see, and maybe it's different with an Arcanine in the deck, but I actually think a lot of people, I'd actually like to hear what you think about this because you're way better at this deck than I am. But like, do you think people don't put enough energy on their active Moltres? Because I feel like that Heat Blast is pretty good. And against specifically Arbok Wheezing deck, I think like the damage can make a difference when these Pokemon are a little bit, lower health than your average bigger EX decks.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much. I don't know. I feel kind of bad if I ever say anything, especially like it's not hosting the tournament. I think it's really good to add extra energy. Like in my personal opinion, I hand attach to Moltres every single at least the
Oh
first
yeah, so
few
we
turns.
agree. You can say we
Yeah.
agree. That means I'm right.
I
You can 100% say that. Doesn't matter about anyone else.
because either way, Moltres is going to need to retreat. So having at some point you're going to want to be able to
Exactly,
retreat him. So having 2 energy on him, I think, is super important. And then you can make the decision the next turn, right?
You've
Am
got
I
the
ready?
option, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Am I ready to retreat back, attack?
Yeah.
Could I attach that energy to my Charizard or maybe even another Moltres in the case that my
For sure.
Moltres goes down health? Or could I start attacking with Moltres? I definitely think people put a little bit too little energy on that Moltres.
Mhm.
But we are seeing a second energy this time, but not in the way that Calvis wants to be doing it. We haven't seen a single basic Mon come down just yet. But I guess this is a deck we're going against that Arcanine can still be a strong player. Wigglytuff obviously doesn't get one shot, but Arcanine does one shot Arbok and we.
Ooh. Okay. So he's going to go for the Sabrina, switch the Moltres, which again, as we were obviously just talking about, it might look weird to be like, well, we've just switched to Moltres from Moltres. They only need 1 energy anyway. Who cares? But this removes the decision, right? Like without X speeds, now you can't deal 70 damage to the Weezing. And often the best time to knock out a Weezing is as soon as it comes down in the early game, because it's the lowest chance that your opponent's drawn Koga, right? And if you
Exactly.
knock that Weezing out, you've not deleted a Koga because they obviously have a second Weezing, but you've removed options from the game this early. So the extra damage there would have been nice. So I think again, both players doing well, setting up damage on the Moltres with a bad opening, but then also the Arbok Weezing there, just Sabrina in a way to give the opponent a little bit of a worse start. However, Charmander's being picked up now, couple of heads there with the energy, so Charmander's going to get cooking as well.
Yeah, even with that, as I was actually going to say, by swapping out that Moltres, you actually are able to then get this Arbok in that next turn, capture the Moltres before he's able to do any type of damage to your attacker. Versus if you're capturing that other Moltres, we could be seeing 70 damage both turns to this Arbok. And the Arbok doesn't survive that, even if he had potions.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't. And for some reason, he's not a Koga target, so... But I like Koga.
I was stumbling onto things I wasn't aware of. Mid cast.
I'm a
Here
huge
though,
Koga fan.
aren't we all? Aren't we all? Double potion was that then? It was, right?
We got one potion down,
what?
but
Oh, sorry, yeah, 1 potion used, poison still on, and locked. All these effects just absolutely stacking.
for sure. And it does look like Charmeleon is in range where if we do have a Charizard, we can see that 200 damage attack next turn, but he's not going to be able to follow that up in a second attack as well. So we are going to see 70, looked like, come down. Oh, no, it was Infernal Dance, my bad.
Yeah. Yeah, because this was the other Moltres, right?
Yeah, this was the 1 energy that's bad. But 0 energy is going to go back.
Oh, again.
Oy.
So this is one of those situations where I spoke about a little bit earlier on in the show where you have to really commit to say, what if I do just go in with Charizard if you have it with a 4 energy? Is it correct to then go in, let's say, knock out an Arbok and then just deal with the Wigglytuff a bit slower because the Wigglytuff doesn't exactly one-shot Charizard, right? It's not even close. So
Yeah.
like it's possible that you just say, okay, Moltres goes out, if that's the case, and then you just say, just put the foot down with Charizard and just say it is what it is.
Charizard is going to have a bit of trouble here, though, with that discarding. I mean, they're
Yeah.
1-point attackers that he's going into. He's going to have 3 successive attacks if he even wants to be doing anything here.
And
And 4
and the
energy.
frustration as well is that if a Weezing appears as that second point, then it's not like Slash does anything because again, at this point in the game, you're assuming Koga's in hand, right? You're just assuming they have one, which means you Slash, they Koga it. All right, you're in the same spot again. You know, you've not actually progressed the game, which is very scary.
Yeah, for sure. And with that poison tick, we've used both potions or 1 potion. Wigglytuff
Both.
only has to 2-shot. Not, it doesn't even have to
Mm.
3-shot here. Into that Charizard. I mean, assuming that you get the poison.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, we're gonna capture
Ooh.
the Moltres.
I
Though.
mean, this is just game, right?
It feels a
Because this
little bit
Moltres,
like it, yeah.
the Moltres will be capped. The Moltres needs to hit twice, and then the Wiggly just comes in. The potions have been used.
Yeah. Wigglytuff is set up for it too. Already 2 energies on the best mon of the deck.
Yeah, there's no way out.
Yeah, there's no reason to. Yeah, I mean, there's just 0
Yeah.
way right now.
Yeah.
Yep, we're gonna
Yeah.
have that concede. I think it's just game 1, but it's going to
Succeed.
Sararu.
Yeah, really, really good game there. And again, I think the dark play here has been really good. And funnily enough, like the Wigglytuff, it's not really popped off, right? It's not been the star of the deck, but the fact it exists has done enough work, right? Because you can make those plans and say, okay, Arbok 60, it's locked in. If Arbok gets knocked out, I have an 80 follow-up, which just doesn't exist in the Weezing Arbok only deck, right? You don't have a high damage output like that. So even just the Wiggly existing gives you options whether you end up needing it or not. So even though it's a one-off Wiggly in the deck with obviously 1 Jiggly, and it does cut into some of your card options, like as we've seen, no Giovanni's. The other options it gives you by just existing is really, really nice. Or at
Yeah,
least it appears to be working so far.
That is for sure. We're having a double Ekans start and a Charmander beginning for both sides.
Yeah, which is rough, actually. I would say. I'm not sure if you agree or not, but it's probably that these two, let's say, bad openings, way worse for Charizard than the Dark player, right? Because I'd much rather be the person with the Ekans potentially into Arbok than having 2 Charmanders and a Dream currently on the bench here, because that's really not what you're after.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, we're gonna have to find a Charmeleon if we want to survive next turn. If
Oh,
Arbok
Pokeball.
is in hand, yep, Pokeball's gonna help us here. I mean, it's a 66% chance Moltres, and we do hit it.
Mm.
Do
Now,
have
do
an
you
X-
X speed?
I think you have to.
You have to, right?
I think you have to. We are gonna do it. We still have to find Charmeleon, but it's still just that 2 Charmanders in a Dream. Running 2 Sabrinas on Sararu's side, which not great when your bench is just 60 health little lizards.
Right. And that's what's scary. That's the worrying thing, isn't it? And like this is good. Oh,
That's really
three
nice.
heads is very good. Okay, we're playing the game now, which is very, very nice indeed. And now because of that awkward start, it's flipped into a slight positive. Where worst case scenario, if a Sabrina comes down, they can sacrifice the little Charmander and still be in an okay spot. However, once again, Arbok just locking the fangs into this Moltres is saying, right, well, now there's a problem because it's the opposite issue, right? Where Moltres now will almost certainly go down, right? There's very few worlds in which this Moltres does not get knocked out because it's cornered. now a Sabrina is an absolute nightmare because you do have the two Charmanders down. One's juiced, of course, but because neither of them have even evolved, you're assuming that they've got no Charmeleons in hand. And that means if you evolve one, which will be the energy one Sabrina into a Charmander, anything in this deck pretty much knocks that out, especially because it's on 40 health.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm shocked at how well this deck's doing. And I really like Wheezing Garbug, and it still surprises me at how well it's performing.
Honestly, me too. I mean, I guess it's still a pretty consistent deck. We're not like really I mean, we are relying on coin flips, right, with that stuff. But other than that, the damage is really consistent. Not like any.
And I think it's preying on the weakness of Charizard, at least that I feel. That's like it has to Moltres, and
Yeah.
Moltres, its only job is to juice and then get out. Right? You really want to retreat the Moltres, and that is the one thing this deck stops you doing. So you basically, as long as you can set it up, in this scenario, you start the game with a 2-point advantage to some extent, and then all you have to do, generally, is draw a Sabrina.
Yeah, for sure. It's like it preys on all of its different vulnerabilities. That Moltres, and then the fact that you had to set up for a Sabrina earlier. And honestly, in Charizard, you're not like 97% of the time you're not finding the evolution, whichever other Pokemon you have on the bench, because you're gonna be using it for your Charmander. We are gonna have to see a retreat here. It looks like.
I love this.
I love Coughings when it knocks out.
Yeah, this is so smart though, because it means that at any point, Sabrina into swapping Arbok corner for one turn game.
For
Because
sure.
whether you do it on a Growlithe, okay, an Arcanine might be a little bit more trouble to deal with, but generally speaking, at the moment, there's Growlithe and two Charmanders. If you don't even knock them out, if they become Charmeleons, the fact that you can pull this away and use the Arbok to still get value, not only the damage, but most importantly, the corner, is just going to be a nightmare. Because again, you'd assume that your opponent doesn't want to put in the Charmander that's juiced. So now I could even see the lockout now, right?
Yeah, even if he
pull back the coughing, bring in the Arbok, lock in the Growlithe, game.
Done.
Like, it seems so good.
Even if he does somehow like evolve in, doesn't get the Weeze this turn, he'll only be left with 40 health if he's able to attack. So that is just that 30 Weeze attack with poison.
Yeah, I just think it's so solid. I think it's really smart play, just holding the Arbok back, and it's something that I genuinely think people don't do enough of this deck, and I think something that's worked well for me in the past is retreating an Arbok, because that corner ability is so strong. Because even this, okay, you're gonna juice stuff, we'll just put the Arbok back in.
Yeah, no,
Moltres is cornered game. Like, it's so good. It's so good.
It'll be minimum 2 turns till he can even attack either. So
yeah, you just save.
Retreating is so strong in this deck in general, though. I mean, we don't have like in Pokemon we have a card called like Boss. I mean, there's other ones, but where you directly choose which Pokemon is being put in the active spot.
Boss's orders, right?
Boss's orders.
That right? Yeah.
There's a couple other as well, but we don't have that here. So even if you do Sabrina, I get to choose who I put forward. So as long as I have it set up on the bench, it's not as much of a worry. And so.
Koga. Yeah, it's perfect. It's so good. Yeah, and then Arbok's just there. You go.
Maybe Arbok will change. You never know. It could happen. Could happen.
I take it as a personal attack that you don't like this card. I think this is one of the coolest cards in the game for reasons like this.
I love Wigglytuff. I love Wigglytuff.
When are you running for president? That's my question.
When I was younger, I wanted to, by the way. When I was younger, I wanted to. It was going to be like URSIIDAYS 2032, basically.
And now not too far away, actually, that time.
Oh, God, now I'm feeling old. Not to date myself with that statement, since you have to be 35 in the United States to be president. But
oh, do you? Is there? I didn't know that. Is there a minimum age?
Yeah, there's a minimum age for each step in government. But we are going to see a concession come down. I'm going to quickly hide so no passwords are shown. Was that game 2 or game 1?
That was game 2, right? That's just 2-0, wasn't it?
Oh, was that 2-0?
I think.
Insane. I think that might have
Am
been.
I? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought Dark won both, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, it looks like
Maybe,
we have won both. Yep, we have won both.
yeah. Yeah. Really strong play, and I do think that the pilot
Hmm.
of that deck, Sararu, played very well. I
Oh, for
think
sure.
they've played a lot of Wheezing Arbok in some form or another because the decision making was just on point. It really was because the retreating of the Arbok to get it in the pocket. I think so many people just leave Arbok out and say 60, 60, 60, your corner's a bonus, when really just knowing that the corner is actually the strength of the card itself. Like without corner out, even if Arbok did more damage, it wouldn't be as good. And we saw how strong it was. Like Calv, I think Calv played really well in the previous matches we saw earlier on. But I do think that at times that just looked hopeless, right? It's like, oh, the Arbok's locked in. Well, you literally can't retreat, and because Moltres doesn't evolve, you can't evolve through that either. So it's just absolute nightmare. So even just at this point, I think a
Mhm.
big congratulations to Sararu for making it to top four with this deck. I think it's super cool. And yeah, I hope they continue to do well.
Honestly, yeah. I do think we are going to be going into our next game. It is their game 3. It is Masinra versus Mojo Sueco. Mojo Sueco has won a tournament with us before. It is a mirror match between two different Zebstrikas. So
Ooh.
the though they did just begin their game.
Okay, just giving some background. They are going to start with a Pika EX on the active slot and a full bench, Pink Urchin, a Blitzel, and a Zapdos EX. And the opponent is going to respond in kind as well and have a very similar lineup. It's almost an exact mirror so far.
Hop into that game now. Brought it up on stream. I'm just going to quickly differences in their decks here. Um,
Yeah, this is huge though. One starting Pika EX, the other one having to start, or choosing, should I say, to start the Zapdos. But getting off this, 120 Pika maths?
yeah, that'll be
Yep,
painful.
there you go.
Uh,
Huge.
Basindra is not running red card. I think it's 2 potions. And
Mhm.
Mojo Sueco is running 1 potion, 1 red card. That's the big difference. But that Pikachu is fully set up on the bench, dang.
Oh, this is funny. They are just going to mirror each other, right? Because
Yeah, it looks
now the
like it.
Zapdos goes in, Pika goes out, Zapdos going to get knocked out, and Pika's going to come in on the top. But I think that do you think in this kind of mirror, especially one that is so like
Mhm.
literally mirrored, do you think just attack first is the winner? Like, oh, at a very basic level, if everything's equal.
I think at like a basic level, assuming like both sides don't break, it can, especially in Pikachu, that energy advantage I think is almost like so important. Assuming they
Hmm.
also have like a similar level of like gameplay knowledge like that.
Sure.
Um, like at a certain point that does come into play. But yeah, I definitely think that like energy advantage, getting to attack first, does so much in
Mhm.
how they end up playing out this game. Uh, Especially when they're literally just like mirror
Oh,
matching.
yeah. And speaking of energy, huge.
And this X speed's gonna do so much from a center. So we do have a Blitzel on the other side. So we could potentially see some Zebstrika that would be able to follow up this. I'm not even
Yeah,
sure
I
that we
think
can.
they almost can't do that, right? Because if they do that, if we bear in mind that they're already on 2 points because they
Yeah.
knocked out the Zapdos first. So if Zebstrika, like this is the thing, right? They've just pinned them into a corner now, and we can see that there's options now of retreat into the second Pika EX for the player at the top from Mojo. But these other two basics are pretty much useless, right? Because like, where do you even go from this point?
For
And now if
sure.
there's a Sabrina, I'm guessing that they have to be running Sabrina if they're running Pika, right? Surely.
They're running 2 Sabrina each. I
Right,
believe I
yeah.
need to go
So
with
if we
that.
see us now, there's Pika EX at the top, Pink Urchin, and Blitzel at the moment. Sabrina comes down, and that's basically just going to be game.
Yeah, there's nothing for Modus Waco to run to on his bench.
Hmm.
Um, definitely seems like a little bit of a rough, like what he was able to put down. But versus Masinra with a full bench set up, like you have to go in and put all your cards that you can't for those extra turns trying to pick a basic. He had the Sabrina on the side of Modrico. I mean, just like you're saying though, putting up Urchin or
Yeah.
Zebstrika.
And I think the Pink Urchin's the best choice because Zapdos, there is a world where it gets 3 energy, so it can Hurricane, right?
Yeah.
Zebstrika only needs 1 energy. Are you really at this point in the game going to put 2 energy on Pink Urchin? Probably not, right? So you just sacrifice it to the gods and say it is what it is. Second Pika EX pickup, though, could change
Very
a lot of
nice.
things because this is the problem, right? Like Pika EX switching or like, sort of baton passing or whatever is
Mm-hmm.
like really strong because they, in the mirror, the Pikas can tank other Pikas. So if you can get like the benefit here now, because both players have two, but their opponent's on 50 on the one on the bench, now they're that step ahead again, and the game looks a little bit easier at this point because they have a whole extra Pikachu now to sit and take a hit.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, yeah, who does Modus Waco even run back to for his Pikachu at this? He either
I
has to
think you run back
swing.
to next game, if I'm being honest, because
Yeah.
it's not looking good, is it?
I guess this turn, if the potion hadn't come down on Masinra's side, we could have used Zebstrika here. But that potion really pulled that Zapdos out of
Mhm.
range.
It's scary though, right? Because Zeb Striker goes in, knocks out, like in a world, knocks out a
Mhm.
Zapdos. But then, what if there's another Blitzel? What if there's a, like you? Obviously, these are the plays you have to make sometimes,
Yeah,
right? You have to just hope they don't have it. But I do think overall that the situation's just grim because Pika just got to go off first and knock out a Zapdos, so it's a massive step ahead.
for
But I
sure.
do think they probably have to. I don't know. They have to do some. Oh wait, no, this is just a concede, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically
It's a hundred
haunted.
percent, right? Lost, yeah.
Don't.
Unless you're telling me they changed the rules and weakness of X bench now. This is
Giovanni?
done and dusted.
I mean, also against the rules, Giovanni only works with active.
Hmm.
That's like the nightmare, I feel like, at the beginning of everyone's games where they like first start using Hitmonlee, Giovanni Hitmonlee. Doesn't work.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Never works.
It's
But
funny
yeah.
because I think generally the rules are written very well, but people just don't think about that they're written well, and they just think, "Oh no, it's just plus 10 damage," as opposed to no, no, no. Read what it does, and then go again. But yeah, big win there, and the Pikachu, a very, very, very near as damn it mirror match, literally, just paid off to the player who got to just pop off first with Pika.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's gonna be our last game though before top eight.
Mhm.
We'll be going into those shortly. But my brain is complete. Let's see what we
Right, that
got.
that was top eight.
Oh yeah, this is the last game of top eight. So we go
Yeah,
into top.
yeah, yeah. Top
Um,
four we're going to next, right?
yep, exactly.
I hope so, anyway. Because if not, someone's messed up the bracket.
Oh no.
Imagine that. Actually, no, no, that is top. That we're going to top eight. It's like, well, oh no.
Yeah, Omega Oh No by RCF. So I'm gonna bring up the meta breakdown real quick so people.
Mhm.
It is it's a Pikachu Raichu versus the Wigglytuff, and it's gonna be a Pikachu Zebstrika against Mewtwo. We're gonna do them one at a time. So that way we can watch both of our top eights here.
Cool. More wiggly wheezing.
Time for Wiggly. Hopefully they'll make it. Hopefully they'll make it. What do you think about the Raichu matchup into Wigglytuff?
Um, it's tricky, but I think if you just take the approach that you sort of try and focus on the fact that Wiggly isn't needed, that depending on how the game plays out, there's a world where you might not even play Wiggly because it's worth 2 points, and it can be a problem, right? If they're building up a Raichu, it is a bit of a problem. So you might actually not even bother unless one you can be forced into it. If you have to play Jiggly, you've got nothing else to put energy on, and you have a Wiggly in hand. Sure, go for it and try and knock some stuff out, right, and try and sleep some things. but you do have to be very wary because that setup will really end games. Outside of that, though, the positive is it is just let me just triple check. It's one pink urchin, one Pika, sorry, two Pika, two Raichu, two Pika EX, two Zapdos. So the upside is there's a lot more sort of I'd say dead weight in the deck because again, if we see an Arbok start outside of Pika EX and Zapdos, which you can still do a lot with an Arbok, there's just two Pikachu normals or a pink urchin that could be on the bench. Those are very chompable, right? Like those
Very
are very
true.
weak. And if they evolve into Raichu to be like safe health wise, because Raichu's what 100 health. Well, if they get Sabrina'd in, that's just as weak, right? You're not gonna one energy on a turn, one energy on turn. You need a lot to go right for Raichu to really pop off. So it, even though it has its strengths against Wigglytuff specifically, it also has the weakness because you're not running electrodes that can do work against this deck. You're not running the Zeb Strikers that can snipe stuff. It is just pretty weak looking base Pikachu's.
Very true. We're gonna be hopping to that. It's gonna be channel 1,
Cool.
so we'll hop up there.
Mm. Looks like the players are just getting ready to go in. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. I think this list also only runs one surge as well, which is a benefit for the opponent because again, you always play of how likely it is your opponent is to have this Raichu combo. And even though they have two Raichu lines, they only have the one Lieutenant Surge, so it makes it a little bit more clear when things can happen or how likely things are to happen, should I say?
Very true. I agree with you there. That was something I thought was really interesting this week. I saw a number of Raichu players that were only playing the one Lieutenant Surge, but still running like two Pikachu, two Raichu. Like, if you're going to be going so heavy on the Raichu, what does it mean going this lightly on the Lieutenant Surge here? Unless they're only expecting.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Yeah, because that's what they're doing here, right? Like that's the list that they're playing right here, and I do think like I would generally go I would go all the way one way or the other, right? I'd do one Raichu line with one Surge, or two Raichu lines. Or I'd actually even maybe go the other way, one Raichu line with two Surge, just to say I've got this Raichu sat, and I'll always have Surge if and when I need it. But yeah, I'm also very interested to see how this one actually plays out, because again, I'll be honest, I spend all my time playing against Pika decks and not actually playing with them. But shock horror, it's an Ekans start, Mercy.
Oh no,
I've
not the
seen
Ekans start
these
again.
before.
So I will say we're hating on the Ekans start, but it's done pretty well for Sararu so far.
Oh, it's all good if you can get the Arbok start with it. I also feel like with this, I should just be say like redacted every time I say the words Arbok or Ekans. Maybe we need to just hard mute it out the stream so Arbok doesn't exist. We'll see.
Oh, I wasn't
Pretty
supposed
rubbish
to
opening though
leave them out?
for Zapdos. Oh, oh, I hope you've been doing that. That would actually make me laugh.
That name would not be
for the
said on my
VOD.
stream. Let's see here.
I have cast an official tournament match before of a different game where we were so sick of casting. Basically, there was a card that made a matchup very slow, and it was the only card that mattered, especially in the mirror. It's just whoever draws this card first wins, but
Oh,
it's
no.
very slow. So we decided to play a game where we weren't allowed to say the name of the card. So we had the whole game revolving around one card, and we weren't allowed to say the name of it,
I
and
don't know
if
how
we
that
could
would
cast
work.
it. And it went very well actually. It was very fun.
Sounds
We had to do something to
hilarious.
keep ourselves entertained.
For sure.
So far though, Ekans versus Zapdos is not the most fair match I've ever seen.
Yeah, not so much. Luckily, Zapdos will not be able to do, their bigger attack this following turn. Ekans probably has an extra turn to find that Arbok, looking for those coughings. But I'm a little bit worried with that early energy attachment. We're not going to see more basics come down.
Yeah, saying that, if there's ever a time you want a bad hand, it's when your opponent has a really bad hand too, because Pika with Zapdos start and zero bench, like, I'd take that, honestly, even with just an Ekans and a Dream.
gonna need that Arbok right now, or this is gonna be game one for Hanamon.
Yeah, this is not what you want to see.
Whew.
The good thing is, though, I think all the players that have got this far,
Mm-hmm.
I imagine should be able to shake off a bad game. They've
Yeah.
played the game enough. It is what it is. We've all been turn one Articuno EX, right? Like we know how it goes. So I think even if it's bad, like a bad, Ekins just gets knocked out in this game one here, even though that's now not going to be the case. I think the players are good enough to just shake it off and say, yeah, move on to game two, no problem. It is what it is.
Very true. Very true. I wonder if he's going to attach this other Ekans on the bench who does have Arbok, because presumably we could be directly going into that Thundering. I actually don't know the name of the attack. The energy attack.
Thundering Hurricane.
Thundering Hurricane. Okay. Hopefully don't down to 90 health here.
Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. I could see Sabrina coming down.
Yeah.
Have we seen as well that they're actually playing around their opponent's Sabrina by not playing this Pika and not playing this Pincurchin because they don't have Pika EX?
Yeah, because
So
they're
they're
not
just
running
saying
red card.
is Zapdos in a dream? Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Good heads up play though by the Pika player, because I think most people just slam, right? It's just like I've got a Pokemon, put it on the bench, especially in Pika decks.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's one of the things like where we talk about like strength of the red card. Like he could have put down these other basics from his hand, and he just never decided to because they couldn't be put back into his deck despite having, what was this? 8 cards in hand. Oh, we did attack. Okay.
Yeah. There was a moment where it's like Hurricane. Oh wait, there's a world where I get 4 tails. Never mind.
Yeah.
Go. That would be me. That I'd click Hurricane out of raw confidence, and it would be complete hubris, and I'd get 4 tails.
After Kronos bolstering you in chat, that's what you're gonna go do right after this. Play Pika, Thundering Hurricane, 0 heads.
Yeah.
We do go and put that coughing up though. I think we may not have Arbok just yet, or we could be setting up for a 1-hit KO at that wheezing 30 damage. Go back into the Arbok potentially with a Uka, but it seems like we're not having as strong of a game this.
Yeah, Weezing's a nice pickup, but the weird thing about Zapdos EX now is that for the Dark player is you have to just play as if they're gonna hit tails all the time, because you can't play around getting 150'd, right? Like that just is what it is at the time. So I think you just keep playing, just make solid turns, and just say, yeah, what's the right thing to do? Maybe don't go too crazy, and just say, if I can take out this Zapdos, that's a lot of energy gone from the game, and maybe that's enough. But the scary thing now is if Zapdos, hang on, 40, 30. Yeah, I was trying to think. If Zapdos gets to clear and retreat, and there's a switch into Raichu Surge, like that becomes very scary because you've utilized the energy almost twice over at that point, right?
Very true.
We'll have to see how it goes. Or maybe you wait.
That's definitely a problem though with the Raichu this deck. Even if you capture him.
What? Oh, hear me out. Was it ever Surge Raichu this turn?
I don't
to just
think
knock
so.
out the Weezing?
The problem is though, is you knock out the Weezing, you go to 2 points, there's 0 energy on your board, and then Arbok just captures you with 0 energy, right? 2 shots your Pokemon. By the time you could promote a Zapdos, you still don't have 3.
You potentially would have though with Raichu and Pincurchin though, right? If you put those in first, because your opponent's on 0 points at the moment.
Yes, that is true. Yeah, we could put a Pincurchin.
I'm just worried that this attack goes in, doesn't knock out the Weezing, Zapdos is dying, and then they just Koga the Weezing, and it's like, nice attack, Zapdos. I do value knocking out a Weezing very highly, maybe too highly, honestly. But I don't know. I like to look for the plays. Maybe they're just saving it because they've only got 1 Surge, so maybe they're saving it for the Wiggly.
Very true. Very true. Wiggly, I feel like could do a lot. I mean, Sleep, as I said, I feel like just changes a lot of times auto losses to a 50-50 flip, which
yeah.
Wonder if we're gonna have a Koga here.
I mean, it's a perfect Koga,
Yeah.
right? Like that wheezing has done a job, right? He's put in a shift. Give him a little time off. Give him a little break. Yeah.
Or we might just see if, all tails afterwards, like that Zapdos
Yeah.
last game. So we do
There we
have
go.
Koga, like we were thinking. I wonder if we put
Even
up.
if this is for something bad, like let's say there's no Arbok, even if this, which there
We
is
have
an Arbok,
Arbok,
wow,
yeah, the second
perfect.
energy.
But even if this was Jigglypuff Sing Hope, I think that's still a good play because retaining the wheezing is so strong. But now this is sort of what I was talking about, where it easy for me to say this, right? Hindsight is very wonderful,
Yeah,
but that wheezing could be gone and the Zapdos could have been safe
very
this
true.
turn.
Yeah.
Right, it costs you 3 energy, so it's not free, obviously, but you'd be in a much better spot than you are now. Like it's very scary now. 2 points to your opponent. They've still and you've got 1 point, sure, but they've got an active Arbok just chomping away.
Yeah, I wonder if he's gonna power up the Pikachu. I mean, I think he has to power up Zapdos. He would have 1 turn to try to swing into Arbok. I guess he could retreat now, but if he doesn't, it's getting captured next.
Oh, this is so scary. I actually just don't know. I think you just lose.
Yeah, I don't know
what
what you do here. We could decide to, what is it? You attach this turn. You're at 2 energy. You attack to knock him to 80. He attacks, you're captured. I guess.
Oh,
Damn,
they're
you
going
go
Pika.
back?
I was looking at Pika.
Yeah, Pikachu, I think.
There's Pika. Like the problem is you switch in. So you put the edge on Pika, switch it in, and then Pika takes a hit. Then you Geo the Arbok to knock it out, right? But the problem is that's full. Oh, they're not going to switch.
Yeah, I think they needed to attach to Zapdos if they're going
Wait.
to switch. This seems like the.
Okay, well now I'm lost. Yeah, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like, this was one half of one play and one half of another, right? It's stuck together.
It definitely feels like we have a little bit of a problem here, yeah, with that, like, we got too uncertain. There's too many decisions we could make, and got stuck in it. Definitely feels.
Yeah, because our bot, like, what my view on the Pika's position here is whatever you have in your active spot at the end of this turn is what you've got there for the rest of the game, very likely. Or at least for the next while in the game.
Yeah.
Whereas now, this Zapdos can't retreat. It can't even Thunder in Hurricane.
Yeah, it can't. It could have
What'd you do?
potentially this turn if he had
Yeah, it
attached
could,
his
that's-
Zapdos.
Exactly. This is why I was saying, if you attach the energy to Pika, you swap in, Pika takes a hit, then you 100 the Arbok, then, go from there, I guess. But you don't attach to Pika and leave Zapdos in, because now it can't even Hurricane. So I think they might have got lost in the sauce there a little bit and thought they either had 1 more energy on a Pokemon than they did, or not think through the turns. We all do it. It happens to the best of us. But yeah, that was definitely a way to lose a game, because that just didn't. You needed to just fully commit to 1 line there, and I think they got stuck between 2, or they forgot what Arbok did.
Yeah,
One or
I
the other.
mean,
we've all done it. We've all done it.
we've all been there. We've all not read cards as well. I mean, I'm sure he actually knows what Arbok does and just forgot, but it's up. So we'll have to see how they play it out this time. It seemed like a good start for Hanamon last game, and Sararu was still able to pull back. We'll see which one goes first this time. We're going second as Hanamon, and we are going to be on that energy advantage here. Urgent start. Ouch. I feel like that's an ouch.
Yeah, I know people are saying like Pincurchin is put in work, but it feels like the last Pokemon you want to give energy to in this deck. So I've never personally, even though I love Paralyze, I played normal Articuno. I've just personally never had Pincurchin feel like it was gonna, this carried me this game, or this did this. I think I'd rather run I don't know, anything else at that point. So I'm very interested to watch more of this to see if Pincurchin can actually do some heavy lifting, or maybe it's just a basic tank-ish kind of electric Pokemon, I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, I've definitely seen Pincurchin, where it's similar to that Sing. All you need is to get it off 1 turn. That being said, into Ekans, who has an evolution, it's not going to matter because when you evolve, that
Right.
status condition appears. So even if they do get this attack off this following turn, they could just be holding that Arbok in hand, evolve it on their second energy, and finish out that game with that attack. And then you have to deal with the Zapdos if you did commit to those Urchin, who's going to start with 0 energies and going to start getting smacked. We do find Pikachu though this game. We do find Pikachu this game earlier.
Yeah, it's not too bad. I think this gets really interesting. It's one of the reasons I really like this game. It's like, where do you put the energy?
For sure.
Because Pincurchin's 1 energy, you could think I have to commit this because I've already put 1 energy on, but it might just be okay to retreat, to have like retreat energy, so to speak. And then you go, oh, well, I've got Pika now. I'm going to start doing the Pika. So as we can see now, yeah, this is where you pull out the Pincurchin. Couldn't really be left in that turn in case of Arbok, and Arbok just gets a free point. So gonna have the Pika there. But now if there's Arbok can like really take a bite out of Pikachu and put it in a bit of a dangerous spot. So I like what they've done here, and they've pulled away from the Pincurchin. However, it's not without its risks.
Yeah, I think though there's like a little bit of a problem in this like decision. Like, what maybe there is a world that we sacrifice the Arbok, not sacrifice the Pincurchin for a point and hope when we run into Giovanni when we have 2 attack, because otherwise Pikachu's already going to be at 60 health if Arbok comes down, and then at like a higher chance of getting knocked by another man. And Pikachu has more 1-pointers that he could swap to instead of having to rely on a 2 follow up. Arbok is going to come down, but we only have 2 basics on this bench, so even if we run into a Giovanni, it's only 70.
Oh,
saved. If you do have
draw.
the Giovanni.
Yeah, insane draw. This is so good. Being able to take out this Arbok now. That was without that, again, that's just probably game. Like, that's how much of a spicy spot they were in. However, the heads-up play of stacking energy on the Pikachu, pulling away for the Pincurchin, opened up this as a possibility, and now they're in the game, right? Like, they can actually get something done. And this is what I was talking about, where you a lot of the time in this game, you do have to play as if you're going to top deck the best card for you in that moment. Because guess what? A lot of the time you have to, and that's how the game works. So you may as well make the plays that will win you the game and not the plays that will make you lose slower, right? Like, that's really important.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 20-card deck. At worst, it's a 5% chance that you're hitting the card you want, or 10 if you're running 2 of it. But I think this is one of those moments like we were talking about, that energy. Like, if we do keep hitting tails, we go and power up a second Arbok on the bench. I mean, we need two whole turns for that. But we'll have to see how it goes.
Oh. A sacrificial Jigglypuff.
Interesting. I mean, even I wonder if we'll see a Sabrina come down. But that being said, it would be opening, like, you can't Sabrina and Giovanni? Probably not.
I actually like the Sabrina because there's a way to make the Sabrina good here. So Sabrina can dump 90 damage on the Arbok because of this potion. Arbok cannot knock out Pika, right? So true. Deal 90, put Arbok to 10. Once that Arbok's gone, there's a Wigglytuff which is about 10 years away from even hitting you at this point.
Honestly.
And two Weezings that don't even have coughings on board. So I actually like this. Okay, I like this less now. I think I would have actually just tried to chomp the Arbok. But, however, it's still a knockout, which is fine. I think this does give just a little bit extra time that wasn't necessarily needed, because the Arbok is a little bit scary, but it's still probably fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm being nitpicky at best.
Let's see. Yeah, I mean, Arbok is going to be able to 2-shot now, unless we have a Giovanni for it. I only think we see one Giovanni thus far this game. But...
Yeah,
I think Sabrina
I think
last turn.
The scary thing here, from Pika's perspective, is they attack this turn, but this turn they also like play a coughing, and then they can like retreat into Weezing, knock out the Pika. Then your opponent's got something into a Weezing, and then maybe Koga back into the Arbok, and so weird things can happen. Whereas I feel if they put Arbok on blast last turn, there's less chance of Wiggly getting online than there is Arbok being a bit annoying for you here.
Yeah, really tough needs 3 turns versus
Hmm.
the 1 turn of a wheezing.
And they'd even need to draw the Wiggly as well, right? Because obviously they play the Jiggly inactive, which would lead you to believe they don't have Wiggly, in hand at least for
Exactly.
the next turn or so. But Raichu's getting manually juiced here. Don't need Sergeant Bob or whatever he's called in is that German or French? I can't remember.
I think that's the French one. That's really. I thought it was
Is it
hilarious
French?
learning all different names. Sabrina's like
Yeah.
Morgana in France as well, which I thought was a
Oh really?
very
Oh okay, that's
astute
cool.
name.
Yeah, a little bit cooler than Bob.
Little cooler than Bob, yeah, a little cooler than Bob. So we have game 2. It's
Oh,
going to go to
there you go.
Hanamon, and so they're going to go to a game 3 actually.
Oh, Major Bob. Sorry, not Sergeant. Apologies.
How
Major
dare
Bob.
you? How dare you?
I know, yeah.
Get the what is it
Apologies.
ranking correct?
Yeah. Here they're going to be 1-1. That was a tricky game as well. Like I've been really enjoying these matches today. I think we've had a lot of really close calls and some really decision-heavy games, right? And even a lot of times where it's not necessarily just one, like this is the correct decision, this is the wrong decision. There's been a lot of just branching path choices, which I think made the games very interesting.
Very true. I mean, even you see that Raichu getting built up on the bench. Uh, Even if Pikachu somehow gets knocked out, we just back into this the
Right.
1 point. We are going into game 3 now.
Jiggly opening.
Again,
Scary.
is Jiggly allergic to electric or fighting?
Fighting.
Oh, okay, okay. I was
I'm
gonna say
pretty sure.
otherwise. Giovanni, 1 energy, knockout. Perfect.
Yeah, it's fighting because everyone was saying they were going to run, the promo Mankey when Jiggly was released
True,
because
true.
it'll just one shot it every time, and it's like, yeah, that's a little bit scary. I also fully respect leaving the alerts on. If you don't use a supporter card, I have mine turned off. But when the box comes up at the end of the turn, are you sure you want to end turn? I respect it in the tournament because there's a few times where I've end turn and gone, oh yeah, I should have done that, shouldn't I? Or I've not attached energy. That's the worst one as well. I've ended turns without attaching energy and felt very stupid.
In tournaments, it makes a lot of sense. But in person, I'm just like playing like 8 hours of Pokemon Pocket a day. I'm like, bro,
Oh,
if
you
I
just jam
wanted
in.
to attach it, I would have done it. I would have done it. I get very frustrated at alerts like that. But XP is going back to an Ekans here.
So I would glean that there's got to be Wiggly in hand, right?
Yeah, it seems like it. And we even
Like,
attached
surely?
from the bench.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Second Ekans, though, playing bodyguard for the Jigglypuff, so not too susceptible to Sabrina.
Yeah, Sabrina's not going to be concerned here. And then Hanamon's got a 6-hand deck. 6 card hand. And
There you go.
starting to play some of the mons they want. Without a red card, Hanamon cannot be threatened playing any card from their hand until they want to.
Yeah, it definitely alters the way you can play Pika, right? Because normally you do want to commit to the bench because you don't want your basic cards to be red carded away and cause any issues. So the fact that the Pika players know they don't have to mess around and can create the perfect bench, because sometimes you're forced into an imperfect Pika bench because you need the bench to exist, right? Whereas that's not the case here. So I think that's definitely a huge advantage. And again, just another thing that adds to that open deck list thing where, like, if you know there's red card being played or not, if you know Sabrina's are being played or not, or Giovanni, gives you so much knowledge and gives you so much more tools to play around with.
Yeah, it feels so bad when you're forced into like the imperfect bench, then your Pikachu gets knocked out and it's just like Blitzel, Blitzel, Pikachu. Like, what am I supposed to change into at that point? Versus Hanamon strategically holding those cards until that you need the exact energy, able to wait for the person.
Or if you dump a whole bench and then draw Pika EX, and you're like, oh.
Worst feeling in the
Feels
world.
so bad. Yeah. This, though, is looking pretty grim, honestly. for the old Ekans Arbok Wiggly.
I guess we could see Wigglytuff this turn start swinging for 80 if we do have it in hand.
Hmm.
Mana's coming down.
I always like this though. If Wigglytuff's there, or evolve full stop of anything, I always like Sabrina first. Because they have to make the choice, and they don't know necessarily if you have the evolve or not. A little bit clearer here in general, but I do think it's correct. There's no downside. It's not like evolving first really changes anything. So I always like making your opponent make a decision without them having full knowledge of your turn.
For sure. It's so important to make sure that when you do get your give your opponent a decision, they have the least information possible, and when you make your decisions, you have the most information possible. Second Pikachu is going to be played onto the bench now. We did hit that sleep. So.
Yeah, this is when Major Sergeant Omega Bob needs to show up, because there's a Raichu available. These Pikas, of course, do not one-shot Wiggly. So Wiggly, at worst, gets at least one go at sleep on one of these Pikas if they go in. Whereas if there's a Raichu to just swing in and just blitz this Wiggly, it's what we talked about right at the beginning of the series, right? When we were looking at the decks. Like, this Raichu could be the silver bullet to actually deal with Wiggly.
But it's a one-of, so... Right?
Yeah, the Surge, yeah, 100%.
Yep, so... Definitely problematic. Omega Alpha, Lieutenant Surgeon Bob, where will you appear?
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the one-of list. I really did expect more to see like a one Raichu line as opposed to a two Raichu line.
Yeah, I feel like if you're gonna do the one of, maybe not commit the deck list as much. But that being said, Hanamon's made it to the top 4. I've never placed with a Pikachu, so obviously Hanamon knows better than me for that. They do end up putting that Pikachu forward though. We are retreating with no X speed. We have hand attached still. We do have hand attached still. And
yeah, that looks like it's adding up to
Bob
3
has
to
appeared.
me.
Oh.
Yeah, huge. And that is going to be that game.
That's gonna be
absolutely huge.
Sad to see
And
Wigglytuff go, but
it really is. I think they played really well. Obviously, we covered a lot of their matches. They played really well overall. Really impressed with the deck. And I think that just goes to show, right at the start of the show, we were talking about the different builds of Pika. And this is just, yeah, you ran into one that ran Raichu. And guess what Wiggly's kind of weak to, right? It's going to be weak to that Raichu combo with Surge. Whereas if they ran into, we saw them versus different Pikachu lists without this, the matchup looks a lot easier because there isn't that just massive amount of burst that can actually just take out the Wiggly or even take out a Weezing or, an Arbok or whatever. Like, the matchup, like, massively changes based on just that one difference in the deck and one different approach. But of course, then the Raichu will have worse matchups in other things. So that's just the way the game works. But really cool match overall. And again, I think a big shout out to, Weezing, Wigglytuff, Arbok, or Weezing, Wigglytuff, and the Pokemon that shall not be named. Because they did really well to get this far. I love that people are still bringing different decks. They're not just sticking to a couple of meta decks. They're really testing stuff out and making it work.
Yeah, for sure. I love seeing all these different decks make it to the top 4 here, but even just top 32. It's great to see the viability of some of these decks that other people may not even think about when prepping for their tournament. Really cool to see. And it also kind of shows you, like, if they had literally just been on the other side of the map or other side of the bracket, Raichu wasn't on the other side of the bracket. It's Substrika on the other side of the bracket. So if, it just a slightly different...
Tricky.
Yeah, slightly different fate. You might see them doing better against... I don't know how they do against Substrika, but it might be a different matchup. We are going to be going into that Pikachu, Substrika, and Mewtwo.
Definitely the nature of card games, right? Especially in these big tournaments. You can be a really, really good player, as all of these people who have been featured today definitely are. But you know what you really need as well? just a little bit of a good run, right? You need a good, amount of opponents. You need the good, like, right decks. You need at least to run into a few good matchups to help you along. Because let's be honest, if you're the best player in the world and you run into like 5 counter matchups, it's going to be hard to qualify, right? That's just naturally going to be the case. So you do need a little bit of extra little help. Here though, it's looking quite good. Pika versus Mewtwo. Do you think the Zeb Striker Pincurchin has any like advantages versus any other builds versus Mewtwo, or do you think this is a bit of a worse version of Pika to go against this?
I'm not really sure if I'm being honest of which one is the best into it. I think Raichu might be, in my opinion, a better matchup because it can one-shot that baby Mewtwo. That being
Mm,
said, Marcoco has like the perfect start for that baby. He wants it in the active so that he can trade out even a Ralts if Sabrina comes down, and be able to have it's almost like 5 turns before that Mewtwo EX is forced into the active spot, and has to deal with the cards. So 5 turns to find Curlia, 5 turns to get powered up, find Gardevoir, and Pikachu can't really do much about it except Sabrina
right.
that he messes up. But I'm not sure on the side of Blitzel or Pincurchin which one I think would better. I think Pincurchin is nice though. Even if they knock out Pikachu, Pincurchin could stop that sweep as a
Right.
paralysis. One of those few moments, in my opinion, that I think it does well.
Hmm. Oh, sorry. Can you solo for a second? The waffle needs to go out. Is that all right?
Sounds like a plan.
Let me see.
1 second, guys. So we are going to be going into that Pikachu Mewtwo match, guys, in our top 4. Zebstrika is already getting built here. Zebstrika is one of those few where you are able to shoot around this baby Mewtwo. But Pikachu's going to want to do as much damage as possible and put pressure on that Mewtwo EX before he even actually gets set up. We are going to see Curlia, and we're going to need that Gardevoir still, but which Mewtwo oftentimes is literally just so reliant on. Because of this baby Mewtwo, it may not be the same situation here. We're going to have a couple more turns for Mewtwo to find Gardevoir, a couple more turns for it to get powered up. And it does look like we are going to be going back to Zebstrika with these 2 1-pointers. Sabrina's not going to be as big of a deal here just yet, but we could be coming up on a turns. This baby Mewtwo does get knocked out here more than likely, but it does look like Sabrina's going to come down instead. Let's see. Yeah, it does look like we're going to go on in Zebstrika and knock out that baby Mewtwo in the active. I wonder if there's any world where we start setting up the big Mewtwo, though, to actually get knocked out to any type of Pikachu attack or thing like that. Mewtwo is going to go and get promoted, which I think means they have Gardevoir in hand. And so let's see how that goes. But I think this does mean we are going to go and have that Gardevoir here. Pikachu doesn't have much to set up with because there's no damage put on that Mewtwo X, or even the Gardevoir. And Pincurchin's not powered up yet either. Zebstrika easily knocked out, I guess. I mean, with the Gardevoir down, I don't think there's much that Basindra is going to be able to do. Pikachu's just not big enough to be able to take this attack that'll be coming next turn. We haven't set up that Zapdos, which I think may have been the correct play, or even that Pincurchin that would be able to help delay some turns. Yeah, I think there might have been some world where sniping the Mewtwo EX was the correct play, where we could start setting up for a 90 damage or 90 damage from that Pikachu EX. It would have even delayed if that baby Mewtwo could have retreated. I mean, Gardevoir could come down, but that's only 50 damage then that Mewtwo EX could have dealt with. Meanwhile, Ralts is going to be put up with that Sabrina here. It does look like
Oh, sorry about that.
I'm going to bring you back up then. put up in a second. Um, there we go.
Okay, so what have we got going on? What did I miss?
You missed the baby Mewtwo being knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Zebstrika did put damage on baby Mewtwo, knocked it out, but I think the correct play might have been to put damage on that Mewtwo EX, force them to have
Right.
either X speed or that Gardevoir to attach energy to it and delay 150 damage the next turn. We pulled up a Ralts with a Sabrina, but it's just not going to be enough, I feel like, to delay this Mewtwo attack that's going to be able to do so much and devastate Side.
Yeah, this is like when the Mewtwo just gets free reign at this point, right? Where it's like, well, 150 health, Gardevoir set up, do whatever.
Exactly.
It's like there's not really any way to stop anything, and it is one of the interesting things, and something I'm looking forward to. Maybe that you will see change in the mini set is that like Pika EX is obviously very very strong, but it also has big limitations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like outside of Zapdos and Jolteon specifically, not too much like really high damage attacks. Also, not a lot of health, not really any tanks in the deck either.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if that changes because we do see the weaknesses of Pika like in tournaments like this, especially when we're looking at these matchups where it's like, well, you're gonna have to hit this Mewtwo twice. He only has to hit you once. That's a really big difference in terms of time and knockout potential. So, yeah, definitely a really tricky one here for Pika as Mewtwo seems to be taking over double Gardevoir as
Oh,
well. God,
God.
at this point, you can do what you want.
Honestly. I mean, I would love to see some more like tanky mons that can survive more attacks even from Mewtwo EX. I think there's only, what, like
Hmm.
2 different, is it 6 overall in the entire set? Most of them aren't even viable currently in our meta. That's going to be another point for Marcoco here. We're just going to put them into. But
Yeah, I think again, I get asked a lot about what do I think about a mini set, what do I think about the game balance, and so on. And I think it's going to be really eye opening for a lot of people that are maybe especially newer to card games. That like, if a few cards come out, a few Pokemon with that are like decent-ish attacks but survive Mewtwo, for example, that's going to change the meta because the more cards you put out that can tank Mewtwo, suddenly Mewtwo gets like naturally weaker, right? As long
yeah.
as those cards are decent, of course. And then that then has a massive ripple effect on the meta. And I think really we only need a few cards to come out to have a big impact. Never mind, if a mini set is say, I don't know, 30 new Pokemon, for example, that's a lot actually and could have massive, massive impacts on the game. Whereas I still think people are locked into, oh, well, it's probably still going to be Pikachu, Mewtwo, Charizard, whatever. And it's like, no, things could really change if just a couple of new cards in the right spots get added.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to see someone who could swing 190 consistently, but even having someone who could one shot a Charizard back. Is this the wrong person?
Sure.
Oh, there he is. Like even having someone who could one shot Charizard back instead of having to worry about Charizard can one shot everything but doesn't get one shot by anything but Blastoise with 5
Hmm.
energy on it. There could be so many changes in a new mini set coming up, or even like the next set, which I'm sure will come
Hmm.
fairly shortly. Um, so I
Well,
expect
the
a huge
biggest thing
change.
for me as well is if there was a neutral one cost electric attacker basic because oh, what's it Heli, why am I forgetting the name? Heloptile, is it? Is it the one cost electric, but it's one electric energy, right? Whereas and it goes into the double colorless.
Yeah.
Um, Helioptile, yeah. Like if that was colorless and other decks could run a one cost electric, the birds just get melted, right? So even something like that could change the meta massively because if there's a one cost colorless electric starter you could use, then Moltres massively weaker, Zapdos massively weaker. So it gets really interesting as to what could happen with the new cards. But it looks like now
We are into the correct
that is
match.
the right player. Yeah, I was
Yep.
just reading the name. I was like, I think that's the right player. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a moment
Always a
too.
bit
I was like,
spicy
what do
with
I do
codes.
if it keeps happening? um, but
Tell them to hide their code.
honestly, they did not last time. So
Yeah. Here though, wow. Ralts
Ooh.
standing alone,
Versus a
holding the
full
door,
board.
versus an army of electric beasts.
Did you call it last time? It's a waltz and a dream, and that's all Morcoco has right
Yeah.
now. Research is hopefully going to find him the pieces he needs. I have so many questions sometimes when I think about between the difference between Mewtwo and Charizard, and why does Mewtwo sometimes seem more consistent than Charizard? Oh god, this is actually worse than I thought it was going to be. But I think it's like Mewtwo falls because its supporter is a stage 2. Charizard is the stage 2 attacker. I wonder if there's going to be some type of like evolution that's going to help even Marcoco find, Perlia or stuff like that in future games, finding those different evolution cards. And that
Yeah.
they do
I
find Mewtwo
I think
now.
I think the biggest thing for me is I want more one-off abilities. So the ability, this is in the TCG, as you will obviously be fully aware. But like you play a Pokemon, to the active or bench or evolve it, and it does its thing once, and that's used up, done. Because then they could give him powerful abilities. Because the bench is so small, your punish for it is
Yeah.
that now you've used a slot on your bench just to use this ability, really. Because there's Pokemon like that in the main TCG. Looks like they are going to put in there this again another sacrificial Ralts here.
They're keeping it for sure.
Yeah, interesting call as well. I feel like they are very likely to have Gardevoir because they chose to do that play of evolving instead of waiting a turn to evolve the
Mhm.
healthy Ralts that was already on the bench. And I think that's just you would only really do that for speed. Because there's a Gardevoir sort of waiting in hand, right? And you
Yeah.
want to just evolve it like literally on curve, get it evolved and go. So that's a lot of knowledge and has probably led to this Sabrina play to say, okay, well, clearly you want to evolve into a Gardevoir next turn. So Sabrina put something in the way, and it is going to be Mewtwo.
I wonder if
This
that's
is not bad
even
though.
the correct play though, because Mewtwo can't hit 4 energies on like going first.
Mhm.
With that curve, he's max gonna have 3 energies even when we hit the Gardevoir here. Like he's still not gonna
I
do 150 as like going first on curve Gardevoir. Uh,
I think this is okay as the hands go out there. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can see the camera. Sorry, I can see the player cam, which is
yeah,
I'm reacting to. Apologies. I'm just it's amusing to watch players when they play in high pressure situations.
for
But
sure.
I don't mind this because I think what happens here is there might be. Oh, I guess there's not actually. I was gonna say there's a world where I guess this plays around this exactly right because the peck doesn't do anything because it doesn't really make the hurricane easier to hit. And if the Zapdos doesn't kill the Mewtwo, unless it does, oh, actually, I take it back. There's a world right where like the hurricane does 100, Zeb Striker does the 30. But the problem is this second Mewtwo is now the issue, right? The
Yeah,
second Mewtwo EX.
especially if a second
And I think
Gardevoir
the
gets
opponent's
made.
played well. Oh, exactly, yeah.
Oh, Sabrina's
Oh,
coming down.
Sabrina. Okay. Yeah, so they're loading up this Mewtwo to cycle it, very likely, right?
Yeah, exactly. Especially since we already have some damage on this front line. Um,
Mm. Oh, I like this. This is nice. Now the Zeb Striker into Zapdos 100 damage also can't work, so you're adding a whole extra coin flip that they need to be able to get this done.
I wonder if there's somewhere where you keep the Zapdos in so you force all energies though to be on Zapdos. So when you knock him out, right, where's the energies? There's just no energies on the
Hmm.
board if he commits that third energy.
I I think I like this play because they are likely to put in Zeb Striker, right? Zeb Striker now either uses energy and retreats. If it does, you knock out an EX. If it doesn't, which is what's going to happen, you can knock out the Zeb Striker, which means if they Zapdos or Pikachu and you can 150 it, it's game, right? Like so that Zeb Striker sort of it may as well be an EX Pokemon to an extent here because yes, there's the Blitzel, but it's still creating the same situation where the points are going to be very, very awkward for Pika.
Yeah, especially like if you don't have multiple 1 point attackers like
Hmm.
that Wigglytuff. If you're just switching into another EX Pokemon and you're missing 2 points, it doesn't even matter that you toss that.
Right.
We do go directly into
Because like now, it's checkmate, right? Because the Zapdos can knock out the Pika, the Mewtwo, apologies. But then the second Mewtwo, because the way they've set up, comes on Energy Gardevoir game. So yeah, I think that was just too much.
it is going to be
It did get the knockout as well.
we're already set up for the
Yeah.
Mewtwo. It doesn't really matter now that we
Exactly.
kept that big Mon in. 150 doesn't survive again, so we just go on and take our game. Game 2.
Yeah, I think this is 2-0, right?
Yeah,
Now?
this will be a 2.
Just 2-0 to the Mewtwo player? Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, this is really nice. And I think, again, just, yes, they got to Gardevoir, they got the Mewtwo's and so on, but I just think clean play. Having that second Mewtwo EX on the bench, building it up and taking time to have like the wombo combo, as opposed to going, I have to rush to 4 energy on this Mewtwo, and then this Mewtwo's got no energy. That's another sort of evolution of play that we've seen over time as people have got used to the game and the deck. It's more important to have like the shotgun approach with Mewtwo EXs than it is necessarily to just have one Mewtwo EX keep hitting.
Sure.
Does that mean we have our finals?
We do have our finals now, and it is Hanamon versus Marcoka. It's gonna be Pikachu versus Mewtwo.
It's a rare matchup. Don't see this too often.
I've actually never seen it before. This is gonna be insane to watch, a mind-blowing moment, honestly, for the tournament.
Look at the list though. It is going to be the 2 Raichu we saw earlier with the 1 Surge in there, going up against obviously the Mewtwo we just saw, which I did just misclick, so I can't look at the list. Here we go. Yeah, so it's the 1 baby Mewtwo and then the clean 2 Gardevoir 2 EX, which makes sense. Nothing too crazy sticking out. This seems like ultra standard Mewtwo, minus a Jinx. Whether we're going to call Jinx standard or not, I don't know. But the Pika, I'll be honest, this is just not a build of Pika I would use personally. So surprising, but been impressive so far.
Not the build of Pikachu used, but it is the one in the finals. So, but yeah, no, I am actually really excited to see how this goes. This is Hanamon's, I believe, second time to the finals for this tournament. Let me double check that, but I think they lost in the finals last time. So this could be their redemption arc. And
also an all Brazil final.
Yeah, all Brazil.
We had what, three out of 4 players were Brazil, and then 1 was Japanese, which was the Wiggly Wheezing Arbok deck. So yeah, Brazil, popping off.
For sure. Brazil's actually gotten a couple of yeah. Whoa, wait. Oh, they won their last finals. My bad. They did not lose in the last final. So this could be their second first place. They did get
easy peasy.
Yeah, exactly. They did do a 3rd place last time, or not 3rd place, number 3. But this actually, they used Mewtwo last time, so they know exactly the deck they'll be going against.
Yeah, I think that's what's been cool as well over time is the more comfortable people get with the game, the more, like, it's not just about how comfortable you are with a deck, but can you play against the deck? What are the weaknesses? And this is where you see the players that have really dove into this game, tried all the decks, even the weird stuff, because then you just get a feel for it, right? And you'll know this, of course, that like even decks you haven't played much, because you've played against them a lot and probably tried them a bit, you've got such a good feel for how the deck works. You know what it wants to avoid, you know what it wants to achieve, and that's where you can put a stop to it, right?
Exactly.
And then when we look at a finals of Mewtwo versus Pika, both players will know exactly what the other one wants to do and how to put them in awkward spots, and will know how to prey on those maybe awkward openings, the tough hands, or a cheeky knockout here and there. I think it could be a pretty cool finals for these 2 players.
For sure. We're going to have to hop down a channel to Hannah. And so I'm super excited to have this game. But I definitely agree. I definitely agree, though. There's such, like, in a lot of these card games, your goal every single turn is to make yourself in the best spot possible to knock out again that following turn and make your opponent have that worst spot possible, make
Right.
it the hardest for them to get there. And once you've been playing as these different decks, once you've played them, you really know what is the win con this turn, what is their win con this turn, and where can I put them that makes it the hardest possible.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, 100%. It's something that's difficult. I remember learning it in my first card game where I was for so long focused on what was the best thing I could do for like me and my deck. Sounds like
mhm.
some sort of self-help discussion, this, doesn't it? What's the best thing I can do for me? But it's like for my deck.
Yeah.
And uh then I started, well, I got help basically from friends who were much better than me in the game, who then said, "Oh yeah, but look, they're going to want to do this on this turn, so do this because it makes their turn terrible." And it's like,
Exactly.
oh my god, yeah, why did I not think about this? And it's things you might not. Well, it's the way I learn as well. It's rubbish, but like sometimes I have to be shown something, or I will never consider it ever. Because I'm a bit stupid. So yeah, when I realized that, I was like, oh, you playing your own turn and you kind of playing your opponent's turn as well, and it definitely does help when you think about games like that. But we are into this game now. Pika EX opening with a Zapdos on the bench against the mighty Ralts.
Yeah, the Ralts is not the start that they want here, that is for sure. But Pikachu's got a pretty good setup with that Pikachu EX and a Zapdos EX on their bench already. I mean, not enough to one-shot, not that we'd be able to have a couple turns, but still. Yeah, I agree. I have to see it too a couple times. Sometimes it'll be like I actually have to make the mistake myself before I
Oh,
can.
100%.
Yeah, before I remember it. But that's, I think that's not like something I remember. It's like, well, why would I judge here? Or like, why would I do that? Because it might cause this extra problem for me. Well, they probably already have the thing they want, that you don't want them to have. So. Oh, this looks like a good setup for Hanamon, though. Turn 1, the bench is wide. But I feel like this is how my
Yeah.
Mewtwo starts are as well.
And all you're doing as the Mewtwo player is like, please no X speed. Please no X speed. Please no X speed. Because if that Zapdos gets to moonwalk out of that active spot into the Pika EX, yeah, this game's gonna hurt big time.
Yeah, that is for sure.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh,
It's a
is
best of
just
3.
Ralts,
The best of 3.
the lone hero, the bastion against the electric army.
Well, no X speed on the plus side. No
No
X
X
speed.
speed. Yeah, that is about. The game isn't literally over. Alas, it is close. I
Oh
love this
my.
game for situations like this because sometimes you just get got, and it
Yeah.
just is what, and you just accept it. You just so numb to it, and now they're gonna red card them into an X speed, which won't matter obviously, but still.
Won't matter now, but no X
Oh
speed
no,
at least.
okay.
No best X speed.
Oh, the double energy on the Ralts, it gets worse.
Oh no. This is so.
Oh.
This is when Marcoco's like, please red card me, please red card me, please red card me.
Yeah. Not
But
even a Gorilla here to try and hold the line. Just nothing. It was just Ralts.
that's
And
a
you can
sad
imagine
one.
he's turned around and said, "Guys, where were you? Where
Where were
were you
ya?
when I needed you? Gone."
Next game, he's
Wow,
not
there
gonna be
you
able to
go.
find a Ralts though. So.
Yeah, and rightly so. Ralts is taking a day off after that. They had
Yeah.
enough. They pulled their weight. They're clocking out for the day. They're done.
My. Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah.
We're gonna let them
Ralts is
set
just
up.
like, where were you when the Westfold fell? It's like it's just done, absolutely done. But hilarious as not someone who's actually playing.
Yeah, no, I would feel so bad as Marcoco if all of like if this game would go in and it's maybe Mewtwo now or something like that. But that's how card games go sometimes, sadly.
To be fair, that has happened to me in the finals of a tournament, so I'm allowed to laugh.
At least you can't blame yourself at that point. At least you can't blame yourself at that point.
Exactly. You just say, well, there's all my bad luck out the window. Let's win this thing and go. So yeah, and again, like I said, these players, they've played the game enough. They know this happens sometimes. It is what it
Exactly.
is.
Let's see.
Oh, okay. This Ralts is like, stop putting me in the danger zone.
Stop it!
But there is a Mewtwo EX watching over him, so it's not
Yeah.
too bad this time.
Let's see. Let's see.
Oh yeah, the Pokeballs getting the work done here massively,
Anyone seems to
and
have
that's the
everything they
worry, isn't
need.
it? For me, that's the real fear that that Pikachu gives you is
Mm-hmm.
they run the basics, generally more basics than most other decks,
Yeah.
right? So
Like
they're more
7?
likely to draw basics. Then they can still draw professors and or Pokeballs, and so it's like half their deck is fantastic. Maybe more than half is like amazing in the opening hand.
Yeah,
So they
so
do it
much of
very
it.
often, obviously. Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder if there's like a world where running more Pokemon is strong. Though I don't actually. I wonder if that's even the case. But in Pikachu, it
Hmm.
does seem to work out really well. That being said,
Right.
mainly because Pikachu's attack. But
Yeah, it's like again, I think in the full TCG there's Pokemon that or something that lets you have a wider bench, which then lets you do crazier things with like more Pokemon. But I can't imagine this game getting that. There's not enough space on people's screens. But still, I think like mechanics like that could be fun.
oh, fun fact: the simulator for the physical card game is on mobile, and it is like
Hmm.
way too wide for this. Literally, have to like scroll through. I'm not really sure.
Oh
I
really? Oh.
think it's like 10 mons is what the new
Oh
card
no.
allows. That though, too many for sure. Maybe 7, but it's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's Corilla. There is the double Mewtwo EX stacking up. Not too bad. I imagine X speed would be the thing to look for here because that Corilla needs
It's a
to
safety
hide
net.
at this
Yeah.
point. Yeah. Where are the bodyguards?
It's got 2 bodyguards on the bench, but they're just sitting around unless we can
Yeah.
find an X
That's
speed for
yeah, they're on a break.
their last game as well.
I know.
Let's see. Hopefully we'll have an X speed here, though. Maybe we'll see 50 damage into that Zapdos. I am kind of surprised that they did attach that energy to the Zapdos instead of one of their Pikachu, because they're not going to be able to do the big damage they're going to be wanting to. They couldn't even knock out this Curlia this next turn coming up unless they'd attach
Right.
energy to a Pikachu. So, that being said, maybe we didn't
There's
have X
an
speed, but
Yeah, I wonder as well if there's an element here of just go all in on Zapdos, give it 3 energy, and just Hurricane. Because I can respect that play, right? Like just pile damage into everything you can. However,
doesn't seem to be the case.
clearly not going to be the play because they put the they put the edge on a Pika. So fair enough, I suppose.
I wonder if we'll. I mean, X speed now is gonna be really important, because we can see 150 Gardevoir, but it doesn't seem that's gonna be here. I wonder if we even
Yeah,
have
getting it
Gardevoir.
out is important.
Yeah, because Pikachu comes in this next.
Yep. Okay.
Oh man, they really wish they had X speed there.
Oh yeah, that would have been huge. Yeah, probably just game winning, honestly, if there was an X speed, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, because I'm not a pro Pikachu player, and maybe it's just the way my brain works. I play too many coin flip decks. Sea King is the best. But like I do wonder how much value is just saying, oh, to win this game with this opening, I just Zapdos, because they could have Hurricane this turn, right? It would have just been
Potentially.
interesting to find out.
But if they had X speed, right? Like this Zapdos been knocked out, 0 energies left on Hanuman's bench.
Oh, for sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like, do you bet on no X speed? Do you hope you retreat and that you have enough retreat that it doesn't matter? I mean,
I'm just worried that like, it is this just game, right?
yeah, it kind of
like-
feels like it now. Like Gardevoir.
Like that's the I feel like with that opening, you needed something big, and either go Pikachu and just go, or go Zapdos and go. The problem was they split the difference, and I think that is. I'm not saying the Zapdos, 3 energy would have been correct or would have won. Obviously, they need to flip some coins, but I don't know if this was ever really getting there. And maybe just hoping they didn't get Gardevoir is fine. But yeah, this is very rough indeed because now any Pokemon that comes out can't one-shot Mewtwo, and it's just down to Gardevoir, right?
Potentially the right. Wait, no, we did have a potion come out, so no Raichu. I was thinking for a second there if like they hadn't potioned that Lieutenant Surge Raichu could lead in, but we aren't going to see that. That is going to be a I feel like I just can't word today.
Concede.
Yeah, they went on and conceded.
Yeah, but that's still like Raichu still wouldn't have been able to do it with Surge, right? Because they go up to full on that one. So really tricky. Really, really tricky there. But I think it's also there's an element of when Mewtwo goes, it really goes, right? You've just got to hope. But I am a big fan of just going in because, for example, you're likely to draw X speed by the time you want to retreat the Zapdos. So do you just never put energy on the Zapdos and just try and speed up Pika? Because you're not picking anything to death, right? Let's be honest. It's not going to happen in that matchup.
Okay. Gives me a Zapdos start again for Hanmon. It's all 3 games now, I believe. Starting that Zapdos. Going second? It's Pikachu versus Pikachu card covers.
Yeah, how dishonorable putting
Honestly.
Pikachu stuff on your Mewtwo deck.
There's even Mewtwo card covers now, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
But it seems to be running well for him regardless.
I do love that artwork though. The Mewtwo promo from the current subscription thing. I love it. I think it looks so good.
It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I wonder if we're gonna get a Charizard one. I'm gonna assume so. Get Pikachu.
It would make sense. I'd tell you something though. There's a couple of things I want from the mini set, and a alternate art Blastoise is one of them.
Yeah, it's the only. Wait, no. Does Venusaur have an art yet?
Base Venusaur does, right? From the event. But yeah, no Blastoise. I don't know about what I think about the disrespect for the boy.
They don't like the water turtle.
Yeah, it's just. I guess some people have terrible taste. I suppose it is what it is. Here though, they're doing the different thing, right? They are instantly committing to a Pika.
Exactly.
Here, with a very similar opening, Zapdos in the main, Pika's in the back. But now there's no pet coming out. It's just Pika. I imagine they're gonna go X speed if they can, and just go. Like you put the foot down.
Yeah, it seems like this time we are committing. We do have that X speed for that Zapdos, which is going to be very good since, if Morocco's going to be very happy that they retreated last turn. Otherwise, that Ralts would be donezo with this energy on the bench. As I said, this is one of those moments where like Mewtwo shines, in my opinion. This baby Mewtwo, because of how many attacks it can take and really like lets you get that Kirlia going. Will it happen this time? It seems like we're a little bit late already. We do have Kirlia. Yeah,
that's Kirlia. That's an acceptable time frame, right? Like if Kirlia's coming down now, it's okay. Recoverable, definitely.
Sadly, because they didn't have XP. Charizard. Mewtwo EX is not going to attack
Charizard on the mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charizard
That's what I'm saying. Like, X speed is just quietly like the best card in the game, right?
Until you get a switch, yeah.
It's just quietly the best card in the game. Because I don't think we're ever getting switch.
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever gonna happen.
I don't think so. Yep, we are going back to Pikachu. Is Hanmon a 2-time URSIIDAY Pokemon Pocket winner?
I'm wondering where they're gonna put the energy. I'm very tempted to energy on this Raichu, honestly.
Honestly, I wouldn't think that's a bad play. Like, we're gonna go on and put damage on Mewtwo EX that he can't potion out of. Maybe he's not.
And if the deck only runs one Surge, you cannot just say you're going to draw it, right?
Exactly,
like you can't just say, "Oh, okay, I'll draw it anyway." Like, I actually like juicing the Raichu. The Zapdos is probably too little, too late.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. And there's just going to be not enough turns, especially now that Gardevoir is coming down. Like, Zapdos needs so many turns to power up that Pikachu can't do. It doesn't have any power or energy acceleration.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're going to do.
Yeah, I really like this setup.
Yeah, the setup's looking nice right now. Mewtwo can't knock out Pikachu either.
I'm trying to think if there was the Sabrina was really big. I'm trying to just. It's hard to like play out the game the other way, but if like Gardevoir was ever supposed to go in instead of Mewtwo, I know that's probably silly, but Mewtwo's looking real bad right now. Like
Yeah,
it's
honest.
not looking good. This Mewtwo EX, is it? Like so, I don't know if like is it better to just throw Gardevoir in and say, hope I get X speed or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I really wonder. I mean, I feel like this game would be so different if we had that X speed when we had like hand
Hmm.
attached to Mewtwo. We would be at 4 energies, could knock out the Pikachu. Like, what is he supposed to respond with in that moment? Maybe another Pikachu, but a second Mewtwo could be powered up in that time period as well. Like, definitely a
Yeah,
bad
this is
spot.
perfect. So now they put energy on the Mewtwo baby. This Mewtwo's long gone.
Yeah.
Do they put Gardevoir in to tank once whilst putting them? How would that work? It would work, right?
Well,
Put Gardevoir in.
you'd need X speed for that. We are gonna go see the baby Mewtwo
Yeah.
active.
But like, I don't know what this energy was for on the Mewtwo.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either.
That's why I thought they were maybe going to put Gardevoir in to like tank one hit, put another energy on Mewtwo, but that doesn't really get anywhere either. I think this is just struggling for something, but it's not going to get there. Mewtwo just stumbled a bit at the start, and you mentioned about the X speed, the sort of energy deficiency there is now, actually, and it's what I talk about a lot, where if you effectively remove energy from the game one way or another, you put yourself at such a huge step forward. Because look at this, there's 2 energy on the board right now for the Mewtwo deck, and there's 4 for electric here. And yes, some of that also was Gardevoir, so to
Yeah.
an extent of the energy removed. So like you're still in a good spot. Gardevoir ended up here anyway.
I wonder if we're supposed to attach, because now we could have 3 energies on Gardevoir. We aren't running Giovanni, to be fair, in Marcoco's list, so he couldn't knock out the Pikachu, but he's putting more pressure out. This Raichu, in my opinion, is going to knock him out, and that's going to be 0.3.
Yep.
Yep, Raichu's
Yep.
coming
And
out.
really like the foresight there to actually build up that Raichu. The Zapdos didn't need it. The other Pika didn't need it. Build up that Raichu, get the damage cooking, and it can just deal with any shenanigans in the end. And a really big win there for Hannah. A really good win overall.
Huge
Awesome.
win. That's the end of that match, I believe. That'll be game 2 for Hannah. Absolutely insane to watch. I love seeing earlier winner take their 2nd crown. And yeah, I think that went absolutely awesome. Thank you, Hannah, for so much for streaming your game and playing in our tournament, and thank you, Raven, for casting. Do you want to shout out any of your socials, anything that you're working on right now, or anything like that?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, mainly I stream on YouTube in sort of Europe YouTube, Twitch and YouTube, should I say, like Europe daytime. RavenHS in Twitch, Ravencast in YouTube. Almost all in on Pokemon Pocket now. Still, maybe a couple of other things I stream now and again as well. But honestly, biggest shout out goes to URSIIDAYS and everyone who helped with the tournament. I think it's great. I'm super happy to be casting. It's what I do. So it's been a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. But I just think whether I was casting or not, big shout out to you and everyone for running the tournaments. It's great, something awesome for the Pokemon Pocket community, and fantastic to watch. So yeah, all props to you, honestly.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate having you. My first co-caster ever, of anywhere. So really, really thank you for coming on today. And also with that statement, huge shout out to my judges for being willing to help with the tournament. We obviously could not do this without the judges. They make this such a smooth process. And also a huge shout out to our sponsor, XP Collect. Obviously, this is a prize pool tournament. It is sponsored by XP Collect, and we could not do this without them. They go on a huge limb to sponsor these tournaments every single weekend, and I think it provides so much to grows the competitive scene. I'm just really happy how that goes. I want to also shout out all the players, everyone who watched, because obviously it's possible without them. So again, thank you to Raven, to XP Collect. Thank you to the players, our judges, the viewers. And I do think this is where we're going to be ending here. Guys, thank you so much for watching the stream. If you'd like to follow me on different socials, Twitter is where I'm most active. But here is Raven's socials as well. So you can check both of us out. If you're watching on Twitch, make sure to follow there and subscribe on I guess, if you're watching that spot. I am going to, I believe, raid Masinra now because they were in our top 4. But thank you guys so much for watching again. I really did it. And yeah, you guys are the best because obviously this will not be. I forgot to type. So give me 1 second. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you again, Raven. I really do appreciate your time today, and thank you so much. I'm gonna send you all on over to Miss. Bye, guys.